All righty. So I'm live. So I'm gonna find us a little something to watch. Do y'all want to do like a courtroom roulette? I see the courtroom roulette is on. Um, or we could do courtroom roulette, or we could do the beheading trial. Whoa, wait a minute. Y'all ain't tell me it was a TikToker who unalived her best friend trying to go. Oh, them girls in the car. Crazy. Crazy. I do remember that. Yes. What's up, Skin? Which one y'all want to do? Y'all want to do the roulette, the roulette, or beheading trial? What's up, Ada? We could do roulette. See what they talking about in it. See what they talking about up in here.
Asphalt versus Travis Blair. Small claims.
All right. Reading and Worrell are small claims. I've got a telephone number here. 3667. Who's on the telephone?
Brenda Garn.
Say that again, please.
Brenda Garn, Garn.
That's also a small claims matter. So no one is here. Oh, Lentz is here. Let's talk about that one. This is file 252002LT. It's entitled Golden Ponds Mobile Home Park versus Tara Lentz, Everett Valancourt, and Kristen Wallace. Ms. Lentz is there. What's the status of this one, Mr. Cromendike?
I have not, don't have an update in terms of working things out with Ms. Lentz and Mr. Valancourt. Again, my recollection is that Kristen Wallace is no longer residing on in the property. I do have in my notes here that one of the items that we had at the last hearing and that you had asked me to look into was a maintenance request regarding their main shutoff valve and a work order that had been filed in September, early September. I did look into that and talk to my client about it, and that has been inspected, and they did take a look at it, and the shutoff valve is working and not leaking. So there did not appear to be any issues with that. And I believe it had been previously. Now, whether that was properly communicated to the tenant, I don't know. But other than that, I don't have any updates.
All right, last week we determined the arrearage was 2909. We struggled mightily again. You've presented a judgment that shows rent at 2235, other money 501. What's due today?
Total balance wise?
Yeah, let's go through the arrearage. Okay. This is excruciating, but let's break it down. How much is rent? How much is
rent? I have a balance of $1,975.
That's what we had last time.
Yep. I believe all these numbers match.
The utilities we've got an additional check fee is 501.86.
Yep, 50186 for utilities, and then there's a credit card fee and a NSF fee. And then late fees are now $250. They were $200 last time we were here, but November's late fee has now accrued.
Which is why this judgment is $50 higher than what was discussed last time.
Exactly, and just for your reference, I'm anticipating you saying the numbers on the judgment we submitted don't match what I said. I just want to clarify the rent to retain possession of the judgment.
Yes.
Is the combination of rent and late fees.
Yes. All right. Ms. Lance, what's your position?
Yes, I've had to, because of my brain disabilities and stuff, I've had to refile with the welfare office. I talked to the neighborhood. It sounds like that's a good possibility that they are willing to help. Their math does not add up in any manner. Because it states that the late fee for rent is $60 if we're $50 behind. And so that none of the numbers add up. I mean, I'm not helping my case with that, but the late fee charge, but I also signed in the lease agreement, which is no longer in the lease agreement, that there would be a service fee of $1. And from the first time I made a rent payment, I was charged $160, but the day that I was late on rent, it went up to $2, and it's been $2 ever since. I want to know why I have a return check fee of $60 worth. I have never sent a check. It's always been through transaction. And I've had people help me try to pay the rent on July, and it refused my payment. She added the money I was short. It still refused it. I've tried to call and make payment arrangement with them. They demanded a certain amount, or they would not accept a payment arrangement. And I was told then by the welfare office to wait for my eviction notice, which I have. And now I'm having trouble with getting the paperwork through, but I've resubmitted it again, and I'm waiting for an answer.
All I can see is the top of your head.
Right.
All right, there's a lot to unpack there. $1 here, $1 there, and now I can see half of your head.
I can address the late fees if that's helpful, Your Honor.
DHS is telling people they need a judgment of eviction before they can help them. Now, where's Mr. Valancourt? Is he still there?
I'm right here. Get in the.
All right, just so I know he's there. He was in here taking a snooze last week, but he's here. He's there now. All right. Here. Okay, very good. Mr. Cromendike?
Yeah, Ms. Flint mentioned the late fees showing $60 on her ledger. That is correct. They do show it $60 on the ledger. I only charge $50 here on the actual in the filings. And so I understand that difference there. It actually is in her advantage, like she said.
So it says 60, but you only charged 50.
Correct. So if she looks at her ledger on her online portal, the balance includes late fees at $60 a month. However, the numbers that I provided to the court include late fees at an amount of $50 a month.
All right. Now, they have to accept any payment. So if you go in and offer $100, they have to accept it. What they don't have to accept is a repayment plan where you agree to pay $100 a month for the next 26 weeks to get caught up. So I'm going to give you what DHS is asking for through November. There is due $2,235, same as last month, but there's a $50 late fee for this month. 501.86 in these other costs, utilities and processing fee, 232.20 cost. The total amount is 2,959.06. A money judgment is entered here in the amount of 2,463.56, 232.20, 2,695.76. That's due within 10 days. 10 days from today is November the 20th.
How much is the total again?
Now, this is another case where they're moving to evict your trailer off the lot. You don't have to move out. They have to move your trailer if they choose to. So what they need to do is work some agreement with you to get this rent caught up.
I tried to say that we were going to pay $200 a month because of us being on disability.
Well, they can agree to do that, but they don't have to. If they want to remove your trailer off this lot, I guess they can. I signed my first writ of eviction, and I'm not sure what's happening with that case. But I want you to take this order to DHS and Neighborhoods, Inc. It's got a hard, fast number on it, 2,959.06. The only thing that cures this is paying the entire amount. Partial payment will not cure it. There's also a money judgment here. Stay in contact with Ms. Villa, your manager. Truth be told, they really don't want to evict your mobile home off of there. It costs thousands of dollars. I'm not sure it can even be moved, and there isn't anywhere to move it to. So you guys need to work out some sort of way to get this paid, but start off by going to the funding agencies and see if they'll give you some help. Mr. Valancourt, did you go back to work?
No, sir, I did not. I tried.
You owe me a bunch of money, but I'll forego it to let you use whatever money you have to pay your rent.
I tried to get employment with my nephew. I would use that.
All right, I didn't get all that, but anyway, that's the status. You owe 2,959.06 within 10 days. Ms. Lentz, stay in contact with Ms. Villa. There needs to be a way to work this out. Hopefully you'll get some emergency financial aid. Of course, on December 1st, another month's rent is due.
Everett and I discussed that, and because we're not getting any answers, we did plan on paying December's rent and the utility.
Very good. All right, thank you. All right, that leaves our last landlord-tenant case. We've got 3 small claims and a criminal case, Manning. We're 10 minutes behind small claims, but that's amazingly short considering how bad everything is. In Coons, all right, we need people in a breakout room. Who needs to speak to who first?
Your Honor, I don't know that a breakout room is necessary. I think I need to call my client. So I have the property manager here, Casey.
Well, I could put you and Ms. Villa in a breakout room right here.
Yeah, I need to talk to the actual owner of the park
right.
about the potential solution that Meg and I talked about on the phone. So I don't know that a breakout room is necessary. I'm wondering if we adjourn it with the intent that we will have a solution before that comes up.
All right, let's do that then. Thank you.
And then if I may go back, I just want to clarify on the other hearing that I was here on today. This is Francis Campos and Roger Gibson. You had mentioned that the numbers on the judgment were incorrect. And I think we had a case that was the same as this past one where the numbers on that. Yeah, the numbers. So the outstanding rent on that was the rent that we had talked about combined with the late fees. And I think the total.
Elaine, would you bring me that Campos case back? My nose just won't stop running. Big and red enough as it is. All right, I'll indicate parties are close to resolution, but have not worked it all out. Am I correct, Ms. Bauer? She's vacated?
That's my understanding. Yes, Judge.
All right, let's continue this matter for 12 years. I should be gone by then.
Actually, if it's possible, we can put it on Friday. I don't know if that gives Attorney Cromendike enough time, but I'm then going to be out of town for a while. So
I'll figure it out.
All right, well, let's take a look. That's what will you be back within 12 years?
that remains to be seen. Depends on how many cases they give me.
Well, they're giving me lots of them. We could go to Friday the 14th or Friday the 21st.
Which one do you?
Campos, Roger Campos.
Francis Campos and Roger Gibson.
Oh, Roger Gibson. Is it in this pile? All right, well, Ms. Bauer's got big plans for November like Judge Pattison does. So let's see, we got Friday. Is Friday enough time?
Yeah.
All right, we'll continue this to Friday at I've got a landlord tenant case every 5 minutes all day Friday for 3:10.
My hope is that this won't take more than a minute or two of your docket at the most.
All right.
I hope I didn't fix it though.
All right, that's good because we're really time crunched here today. All right, Mr. Cromendike, stay with me for a minute if we can find your other file.
I don't have it here. Do you know the case number?
I can give you the case number.
Well, no, we had the case. I had it in my hand. This is, I have it right here.
Okay.
So the numbers we had were last time were 137402. Now they still don't match.
Yeah, so looking at the judgment that was submitted by email here this morning, so the rent to retain possession amount on the judgment is $1,495.62.
Yes.
That is the current outstanding rent, which we talked about it being $1,385.62, plus the $110 of late fees.
Oh, it's $110 a late fee.
Yeah, and again, I don't know why that September late fee was only $10, but it benefited the tenant, so we're going to leave it that way.
All right, I'll sign that one also.
And I think the bottom line and everything else should match up.
The day is still the same, November 20th. All right, very good. All right, thank you all for your patience. I think that finishes our landlord tenant docket.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Judge Steve. Thank you, always.
Yeah. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right, we have 3 small claims matters and a criminal matter yet to attend to. I don't have the small claims case, I have to go get them. So we're gonna stop the live feed for a moment and stop the And Brenda Garn, would you join us, please? And John Reading and Christy Worrell. Miss Garn? Miss Garn, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to call this case. This is Brenda Garn versus Tiffany Schweitzer. It's a claim for $7,000, which is the current limit in small claims. They were never able to serve this lawsuit on Miss Schweitzer, so we can't proceed at this time.
I heard she was in Jackson.
Say that again.
I heard that she was in Jackson, Michigan.
All right, well, I'll allow 60-day continuance for attempted service. So I'm sorry I had to wait an hour for that, but actually we're 28 minutes behind, all things considered. That isn't terrible. So no hearing today. We can't do a default unless she got served with the action. And so that matter was continued for up to 60 days to attempt to get service. So Ms. Garn, you're good to go. If you get further information about where she is in Jackson, we can attempt that.
Okay.
All right, good luck. I'm gonna remove the waiting room. All right, next up is TM Asphalt and Sealing of Schoolcraft versus Travis Blair. You gentlemen here from TM Asphalt?
Yes, sir.
All right, would you state your names
I'm
one at a time?
I'm Brandon Bordner, owner of TM Asphalt. I'm Terry Moyer, sales rep on this project.
How do we spell Bordner?
Bordner.
And Wyeth? Terry, what's your last name?
Moyer, Moyer.
And you're the service rep?
Yeah, just sales.
All right, would you both please raise your right hand? You will swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give here will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Blair has not appeared.
I'm right here, sir.
Oh, he's here. I thought you were with her. All right, Mr. Blair, would you come up and have a seat?
Yes, sir.
I misunderstood. I'm sorry. That's what you get for assuming things.
So, right here, Tom.
You're the defendant.
Yes, sir.
Would you please raise your right hand?
Yes, sir.
You swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give here will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't realize what the deal was. Miss Brown and Mr. Reading and Miss Worrell, and both of you, you're all here on a small claims case. I apologize, keep blowing my nose, but small claims is a separate division of the 3B District Court. Claim is limited to $7,000, and you can sue for money damages only. You can't sue for a tort. And I'll explain that later if it becomes relevant. Neither party is allowed to have an attorney in small claims court. We don't strictly follow the rules of evidence or procedure. That is, I won't make you go through a bunch of foundational rigmarole to get letters and documents in, but everybody is under oath. This is important. There's no formal record being made in small claims court, and there's no appeal. Any decision made in small claims court is final. Gentlemen from TM Asphalt, you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Brown? And Mr. Reading and Ms. Worrell?
Yes.
Yes,
You
Your Honor.
agree? All right, we're going to take this one first and then we'll address yours. All right, this is a claim for $2,825.82. Let me get into the electronic file. We get a lot of these different contractors suing on non-payment of a contract. In this particular case, I got so much junk in here, I haven't had a chance to clean it out. The plaintiff claims that amount for services rendered and the amount unpaid. The total was $13,940. Defendant paid $11,114.38, and plaintiff contends $2,825.82 is due. Mr. Blair has a different view of things, and he filed an answer. Sorry, I don't have copies of these. I have to go. He says, I agree to pay something, but this is not full amount. Working on getting a quote for unfixed damage. I counterclaim for $3,000 because of the damage done to my yard, harassment by Terry Mosby.
Should have been
Moyer for just showing up at my house, causing issues. You can't really sue for that sort of thing.
He showed up unannounced after I made a formal complaint online about their poor standard of quality, and actually admitted that they were at fault. The owner.
All right, well, you're the defendant, so
Yes, sir.
they get to go first. I'll
No,
hear
sir.
your story. You're all under oath. All right, gentlemen. Mr. Bordner, why do you believe he owes you $2,825?
I will say there has been some additions that we've had on the service
You're
charge.
gonna have to speak up. I'm having trouble hearing you here. Maybe it's because I'm elderly, but
There have been some adjustments to that. He has made an additional $200 payment, and we have had another service charge added on for the overdue nature of the bill. I currently show the overdue balance at $2,665.21.
all right. Now, Mr. Blair, your answer is a little unclear. You said I owe some and I'm willing to make payments, but on the other hand, then you counterclaim for $3,000.
Well, I have a issue with the driveway itself, Your Honor. I have sinkholes developing in part of in the driveway that extend over 35 feet long and about 25 feet wide. They were not there originally. They started off as a small little hole. And they have since grown and almost runs an entire length side of my driveway, which I have pictures and video of. There's several cracks. One crack in general is over 25 feet long or 22 feet long. The cracks continue to grow as the weather continues to worsen. I have cracks down the side of the driveway, which are not relevant to what Brandon's going to say. It's part of the edging, but it's not. It's actually, if you look at the driveway, it's cracking. I've got samples from where my driveway is cracking, which he assured me would never do, and it's cracking here. I also have both of them. I recorded both of them on my property where they both admit that they could have easily fixed this, but they decided not to. Brandon and Mr. and Terry said that it's easy fixed with heat and a hammer, and they never even bothered to bring either when they showed up at my house the second time. I have to get estimates, but right now, small bar park, they parked their heavy equipment along the side of my driveway, and it left 2 deep trenches, which also resulted in damaging the deck of my mower, which now I need a quote on that. They used part of my driveway. They used part of my, I had seed and I had mulch, and I had some peat moss. They used that as support for the driveway. Even right in that same spot, I have a tiny sinkhole developing there. It's probably about 5 feet long. The damages overall, Your Honor, I have not been able to get an estimate. So, but I think that with everything going on, I think it's easy to say that I also filed up with a letter, different letter. I mailed them a certified letter to which Mandy signed. I mailed them a letter, and they did sign it. I left the receipt signed within my car. It's at the shop getting repaired. But I did get a signed copy, which was with I signed an official document stating that they are to fix this. They have not even addressed it or even acknowledged it, but they did just admit to cashing the check because the check was sent with the letter.
Now, which check is that?
The $200 I just sent them. And I mean, overall, they promised good, high quality asphalt, 36A asphalt. Through my investigation and my online, some of my research and looking up different cases and everything going on, you can clearly see that they use subpar material and they substitute subpar material. And as I walk out my steps, you can see that the asphalt's pulling apart and it's just turning into nothing but stone. Hot asphalt mix is not supposed to look like it's a stone or reptilian skin. And most of my driveway looks like that. Where the sinkholes are, that's about 35 feet long. That entire section looks like it's done with poor material. The causes of the sinkhole is a result of poor base setting, quickly setting the asphalt layers where they were quick to do it. And then on top of it, some material. I'm not going to pay for subpar material until I have a quote. Best case scenario, that whole section has to get tore up, just get fixed, because they have to strip it all the way down to the base layer to fix it.
All right, they're not here. You're here. You've got a laptop.
They're right. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, they're there, but if I'm to look at your pictures, it's going to be hard for them to see them.
Yeah, I didn't know.
All right, well, there is a way to tie into that where we could share the pictures, but I'm not sure. Let's see what you got, what you want me to see.
Do you want to tie it in, or I can attest, if they want to attest, they were both in person, seen everything.
I will bring it up here. We'll see if we can show.
You want to do it, man? Sorry. Oh, this is, you just want that, man?
No, I want you to come up and operate it. I don't want to wait your laptop.
Sorry, man. Sorry, Your Honor. Where would you like it at, sir?
Set it right here,
Facing the screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
What we're going to do is I'll probably put the camera on.
Whatever you need to do, sir.
All right, what I want to see are the pictures.
Okay. So I want to, this is an email, but we'll go over that later. Asphalt. Okay, so we'll get into this, right? Gotta go back. So this is my asphalt. You can see here that this is not what high grade asphalt is supposed to look like. You can see how the, if you want, I can pull up the original. We can zoom in if you want, Your Honor. But you can see how this is all scaling. That is poor grade asphalt. That means they're using, this is them using recycled asphalt instead of high grade asphalt, which is what's in the contract with 36A. We never agreed upon that.
All right, are you an expert in asphalt?
No, Your Honor, but if they would like to testify under oath what they used, so they can demonstrate through quality controls or anything they've done.
All right, well, they can't see your pictures, and I don't know if I can get my camera over there.
I can move it closer. You should, whatever you prefer, Your Honor.
Right now, it's not even facing the right direction. It's on, let's see here.
I have long arms, Your Honor.
Well, they can't see that, but
Whatever you need to do, sir.
on this camera right here. So let's see.
I'll bring it closer.
All right, go ahead. Okay, just show me what you want to show me.
Okay, so you got the low grade quality asphalt. I go, here's the cracking. This is just a small example of the cracking. Same cracking. Down in here, this is actual video, but underneath all of this, it's so brittle, it's falling apart, which is part of that example. And what's happening is the seams on the asphalt, Your Honor, are breaking apart. And then underneath here, water can get in. It's going to basically eventually separate, and all this whole set, these sections are going to fall apart. I mean, right now we got freezing going on. So the water's going to get in underneath all of this asphalt, and it's going to pop it up, and eventually it's going to destroy within a year or two, these sections are going to be completely gone because there's no base. It's all just up like this, water can get in. And now it's just eventually when it freezes, it's going to lift and it's going to start cracking across the driveway. Actually, if you want, I'll turn.
No, just show me the rest of the pictures.
Here's more examples how it's just brittle, falling apart, more uneven surfaces. Right here is one example of the sinkhole, Your Honor. That's just one section. That's after a recent rainfall.
Back up.
Yes, sir. Right here.
So what am I looking at?
This is just one of the. This is
a mud puddle on top of it.
No, this is a sinkhole. Oops. This is a sinkhole from them with they did this entire section wrong. You can see how the sinkhole is starting to develop because of it. And that's just one section. You can see here that entire section is nothing but a sinkhole, and it runs all the way down that. And that's the result of them not doing this correctly at all. Their whole base layer is wrong.
So looks like a big puddle. So it's a low point that's full of water.
Yeah, and it's not even. And eventually, what's happening now is all this is freezing, and it's turning into nothing but one big ice rink. Well, this is an example of poor quality because it started out, Your Honor. If I may go back. It started off almost that size, but it started off that size over here. And now it just keeps growing. And I have more, but you can clearly see how that's just a depression right there. That's an example of poor quality. And then here, if you keep, when it goes further, you see all that? That is because they did this entire job in a hasty manner with substandard material, and they did it in a fast because they're behind schedule because of the rain we had throughout July and August. They were so far behind schedule. Brandon can attest to, if you want to submit under oath, they were working from basically sun up to sundown and on Saturdays because they get caught back up. More.
All right, do you have any more pictures?
Yeah, this is the latest. You can see, look how much freezing that is. They're supposed to have measurements, but you can see all of that is all frozen because of the sinkholes and depression from poor material. So you can see, this is another video of how big this depression is. This is not what a driveway is supposed to look like. It's not supposed to sink in on itself. May I move on?
Yeah.
And you can see here again, you can see how it clearly runs all the way down and all the way over. So it's not even draining, it's just flooding. And this entire section is scaling and coming apart. Everything in here is scaling and coming apart. we don't need that. This might be. So yeah, more, this is more pictures and more video. I'll start moving my stuff. Underneath all this, Your Honor, is it's cracking, and eventually my camera angle is horrible. But underneath all of this, all the way down, there's more cracking, more cracking, more cracking, more cracking, more cracking. And I'll go on. I have an actual video of all of it. Something here. So right here, as you come out, oh, this is Terry. If you want to watch the video of Terry coming out of my house, but this is.
No, I just want to see the pictures of them.
Oh, that's it. I have a video. I think I have a video on my phone, Your Honor. If you want, I can play that video showing you how long the measurement is. And I have a video of it being over at 22 feet, if you'd like to see that.
No, just.
But I will testify under oath that it is over 22 feet.
All right, thank you. You can take your.
Thank you, Your Honor. And for the record, I was unsure that this would never happen by Brandon himself when he came out that this driveway. I have more chunks that I haven't even brought.
So they're on the edges?
All over the place, Your Honor. It's not just the edges. The end of my driveway, when I was leaf blowing it, it's starting to peel up because of how poor the quality is on one side. When I was leaf blowing it, it started bringing up chunks.
All right, gentlemen, that's quite a lot to unpack. Those videos were probably very difficult for you to see. But it does appear there's substantial low points in the driveway. He showed cracking and breaking along the edges, and he claims there are chunks. What's your response?
We can go through all of this, and I have an itinerary or list of dates and times that we've talked to him. And some of these complaints we have never heard of. So to go through some of the stuff, on July 17th is when the driveway was first paved. On July 25th, we invoiced Travis for the full amount. On July 25th, he wrote.
All right, now what was the full amount?
The $13,860 was the original amount.
That was the original quote?
The original quote and the invoiced amount, yes, sir.
All right.
He wrote a check to us on that date, July 25th, for $10,000.01. On the 28th of July, we returned Travis's phone call about paying the rest of his bill. Travis was not happy. He wanted to pay the rest by credit card and was going to pay the full amount, but he was not happy about the 4% fee. So he decided not to pay the remainder on the credit card. On July 28th, later on in the day, Terry went out to look at the property due to the complaints that he presented to us during the phone call. Terry then offered to fix the driveway because they were just the edge cracking. And truly, all that does take is a short amount of time, an asphalt porch, and a little tamp to compact it. He refused and said that he was not going to let a crippled elderly man do the repairs, which is when he had the video of Terry sitting on the scooter. On July 25th, he made a Google review with that same video. Or 28th, sorry, I apologize. July 28th, he made the Google review. On July 29th, tried to leave a voicemail twice, one at 12:57. He called back at 4:03. Travis stated that he no longer was paying the bill in full because the driveway was cracking on the edges. And he stated numerous times that he was not going to let an elderly man fix it. On August 4th, we received a check for $112.21. On August 5th, we received a check for $2.72. Both of these have nice little comments on them. On August 5th, Terry texted Travis to try and come out to fix the cracking. We did find out it was an incorrect phone number at the time. We did try and make contact and thought it was, but that was the incorrect phone number as our mistake. On August 13th, Travis came to our office to pay the $1,000 on his account by credit card to continue paying it off. Told us numerous times he was going to take us to small claims court because he had already repaired the driveway himself using crack fillers.
So did you accept that $1,000 payment?
We have accepted, yes. Yep, and that is on the invoice as showing updated and the correct balance as well.
May I add something real quick, Your Honor, if I may, when they're done, or how?
Yeah, you can wait till they're done.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay,
August 13th is when he came to pay the $1,000 on credit card. Said that he had purchased all the stuff and already fixed his own cracks on the driveway with material that he had purchased on his own with no consultation. August 15th, Tammy called to set up an appointment to look at his driveway for repairs to his satisfaction. He stated on the phone call that he was not sure going to look at it was worth it because he had already started repairing it himself with his crack filler from Amazon. We still made an appointment for Friday, August 22nd at 10 a.m. to have myself, Terry, and my business partner, Tammy Stafford, attend.
all right, just a minute.
Yes, sir.
All right, so he said he started repairing it himself using his own crack filler on 8/15. What was next? You made an appointment to go out there?
Yes, sir. And then on August 22nd at 10 a.m. is when we set up the appointment where we went to the property, knocked on his door. He asked us what we were doing there. Continued to show us where he had fixed the cracks without our consultation, and we informed him again. At that point, I no longer felt comfortable fixing the cracks. Normally, like I said, they were very easy, and I have photos of another property that the same thing happened, that we fixed it and took about 10 minutes. Client's happy as can be. You can see before and after photos showing the edge cracking. Once he puts a product on there that I don't know the product and have no knowledge of, the way to fix asphalt is to reheat it through asphalt torches, and then to use plate compactors and rollers and vibratory compactors to repair the asphalt. With him having an unknown product on there, we don't know whether that produces toxic smoke or whether it melts or any of that. And so we could not fix any of the damage that he had covered with that material at that point, and we went over that with him. As for any damage in the lawn, the original invoice and his signed copy that he says states right in there that we are not responsible for any landscaping or reinforcing the edges of the driveways. We went over that with him. He did state that there was a wet spot on the puddle. The only video of that we've gotten that we could see, because I could not see earlier when he was showing you, it was actively raining when he showed us the puddle. And according to the standards that he has printed off for us, it says that the puddle needs to be at least a half an inch dip or a half an inch in depth in order to count as a depression. And he's never provided us with a video or a measurement for depth. And on August 22nd, when we met him there, as we ended that meeting, he told us never to come back on property. And so we have followed his wishes, and we have not contacted him other than sending updated invoices, and have had no further contact or showing up on property due to his own request.
Hey, just a minute. I'm sorry, I don't have paper copies of these. They're all electronic. So I have to go to my screen to see. I'm looking for the clause that says what's in the contract. We propose to furnish material and labor due upon completion. All work will be completed in a workmanlike manner according to standard practices. Any alteration or deviation from the above specifications involving additional costs will be executed upon verbal or written authorization, become an extra charge over and above the cost of the estimate. All agreements contingent upon strikes, accident, delays are beyond our control. The client agrees to cover all costs arising from litigation should it become necessary. Our workers are fully covered by workman's comp. All down payments are non-refundable. New pavement is very tender for a period of months after installation. It would be very susceptible to power steering, twists, and tire indentations, especially during hot daytime hours. Caution should be taken to avoid sharp turning or turning wheels while not moving. Small objects of any weight placed on the new pavement will tend to sink into the asphalt, i.e. kickstands, ladders, and grills. Please avoid these situations. Any lawn restoration is the responsibility of the owner unless otherwise specified. Resurfacing over existing asphalt or concrete that cracks will result in reflective cracking in new surface. If gravel base is found to be insufficient, there will be additional cost to be negotiated with the owner. So he accepted the proposal on those terms. What does the clause resurfacing over existing asphalt or concrete that cracks will result in reflective cracking in the new surface? What does that mean?
So that would not apply to the situation. That's when we do overlay, typically more in parking lots where you take off the the top inch or inch and a half of a parking lot and then put a new top layer on the existing base. In this situation, Mr. Blair's driveway was done from the gravel up, so that part of the clause in the statement would not pertain.
All right, you agreed to furnish and install 6 inches of 22A gravel. Was that done?
Yes, sir.
Regrade and compact the gravel base to be paved. Was that done?
Yes, sir.
Furnish and install an average thickness of 1.5 inches of commercial base coarse asphalt and 1.5 inches of commercial service coarse asphalt. So this entire project was to be 3 inches thick.
Yes, sir.
And it says asphalt 36A. What does that mean?
36A is the designation that the asphalt plants provide for the grade of asphalt that's purchased for the day. 36A is considered an industry standard asphalt for residential driveways and produced by both Michigan Paving, Reith Riley, and Lakeland, which are the 3 main asphalt producing plants in our area.
He claims that you did not use 36A, but used recycled asphalt. What's your response to that?
I have zero control. The asphalt plants produce all asphalt in the area for all asphalt companies. When we show up, we order the surface and the tonnage that we require, and the asphalt is put into our trucks and they get tested by the state to make sure that when they say it's a 36A, they're tested periodically to make sure that the scale and size, all that matches a 36A spec.
So what you purchased, who'd you purchase it from?
Reith Riley was the producer of this gentleman's driveway.
And where is that plant?
Kalamazoo, Michigan.
And what you paid for was 36A coarse asphalt?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, the biggest thing he has, I suppose, he claims there are depressions which are causing it to have these low points which fill with water. And that would be from an inadequate base. What's your response to that?
So when paving, I mean, you are moving, low spots can be developed due to compaction and things like that. We do fix them on a regular basis. I have an infrared machine and we go behind lots of the different paving companies through different parking lots and do repairs of low spots. Industry standard does tend to hold that it has to be a water puddle that persists for longer than 24 hours at 80 degrees. And according to Mr. Blair, the tolerance that he
This morning,
he would like to follow is 1/2 inch in.
go ahead.
So, and I do not know, we've never been provided with a measurement of depth, and because we were asked to leave the property and not come back. And the only thing we've been provided was when it was actively raining. that I honestly, and I could not see the videos that he provided to you. I don't know if it's a half an inch in depth, nor if it persists after 24 hours.
All right, Mr. Blair.
Okay, first, can they confirm that, Mr. Moyer, can you confirm that you called me before coming out, and what day was that?
The only thing that I can confirm to you is that I called you when we were getting ready to do the grade work. You explained to me that you had, to make sure that there would be no vehicles there, you explained to me that you had kicked your girlfriend out and that there wouldn't be a problem to come anytime. And yes, I did not call you prior to the paving dates, just to be based on that and just things that I had going on. But I just went by what you said, that you would be there if they needed a vehicle, you would be there, that nobody else would be any vehicles left there. So that's all I can.
And can Mr. Brandon, can you please confirm that you testified that Mr. Mosby did call me before coming out?
Mr. Moyer.
Mr. Moyer, can you please testify, what's the owner's last name, sir, Your Honor? I need him to, because he stated in his testimony that Mr. Moyer did call me before coming out because of my online complaint. He did testify that.
So you've been out to your house on several occasions, very close, verbally.
That's Mr. Borden. So what's the relevance of this?
It's the fact that I made an online complaint and it goes to a, just what I said about the harassment. And Your Honor, I have a blog standard, a blog point from TM Asphalt's own website. They actually recommend that you use a hot rubber crack filler edge to seal the cracks on the edge of a sidewalk, on the edge of a driveway. This is straight off their website. I don't know this whole heat thing, but they even recommend it. I even explained to the.
All right, well, you took self-help and made some repair on it without.
That's because Mr. Moyer didn't offer any solution, Your Honor. When he came out in a scooter and a boot. And all he said was, we could just heat it and hit it back together. That was his only solution, Your Honor. Never once did he state that he would call the office and make arrangements. He came out.
Well, by the time they came out for the appointment later in August, you'd already done some self-help.
It's because they offered no solution, Your Honor. Because when Mr. Moyer left, he stated that the only solution was to do two things: heat it up and tap it back in, or I need to lay down more topsoil and help prevent it from cracking further. That was the only two solutions, and Mr. Moyer was in no ability of doing that because he was in a boot.
All right.
And he was also on a scooter. There's no way I was going to make him do that.
Well, he said he didn't even come with the tools to do it, and I don't think he was prepared to do it.
But he stated that, and then the second time they came out, Your Honor, they didn't even bring the tools either. They just showed up.
Well, they came out, they said to assess
that?
yes, just a moment, to assess the project. Yes, Mr. Bordner.
So Terry, as a sales rep, is not responsible all the time for fixing that stuff. He does carry around tools with him and he does repair some things. He was on a scooter and had a broken ankle this year. And as a sales representative, as you and even Mr. Blair has admitted when I asked him the same question, how often does a sales representative that you meet at, say, a car dealership repair your car? So Terry Moyer was not given the opportunity to repair it. And when we as a company tried to be responsible and set up the meeting to address all of these, before we got out there, he had already fixed his own way all of these crack fills. We did show up with the tools because they were in my truck and Terry had another set of tools in his truck that we could have done the repairs for. Mr. Blair also just said that on our website, it does state that cracks should be repaired with hot pour asphalt or hot pour rubber. He, I do not believe, used hot pour rubber to his repair. And when we asked him what he used from Amazon, he described it as a cold pour caulk.
I did not describe it as cold pour caulk. I described it as an asphalt caulk. And it was, you said you didn't have any idea what asphalt caulk is. I can play your words if you want to hear them, your own words.
I apologize.
I recorded our conversation.
Use the wrong terms. Asphalt caulk is fine, but either way, it does say on our website, we recommend a hot pour rubber. And that is not what he used. So even doing his own repairs, he did not follow the recommendations that are put on our
But
website.
neither were you guys.
All right, well, stop. We're not sitting around the kitchen table. We're
Yes,
at
Your
a
Honor.
trial. And this is all about clear as mud. Some of the things that you're suing for, you can't sue for.
Yes, Your
You
Honor.
can't sue for anguish and pain and suffering. You also can't sue for any damage to your lawn. So,
What about my driveway where they forced their way into my garage and cracked the driveway? I don't have a quote on that, but they did force their way into my driveway, into my garage, Your Honor, and park their machine in there. And I still gotta get, I'm missing tools and stuff. I gotta find receipts so I get
wait a
that.
minute, don't just start throwing spaghetti against the wall, see if it'll stick. Let's see what's in your counterclaim. I believe plaintiff owes me money because damage done to my yard. You can't sue for that.
I don't have the number. Oops, sorry, Your Honor.
Harassment by Terry Mosby for just showing up at my house, triggering my PTSD. We can't sue for that either. A, I don't know if you've established it, and B, you can't sue for a tort, like infliction of emotional distress.
I didn't know that, Your Honor. I
Well,
apologize.
that's common. We have it in the next case also. I have it documented that they were at fault.
I have them both on the record stating, Your Honor, can Mr. Moyer please state if he was the one who sold TM Asphalt to the current owners?
Well, I don't know what.
That's relevant because, I'm sorry, Your Honor, it's relevant because if Terry sold them this, he would be qualified to know what damages are. He's not just a sales rep, he used to own the company.
All right, fair enough, but I'm looking at your counterclaim. $3,000 because they damaged my yard. The contract says that's on you. Harassment by Terry Mosby, that you can't sue for that. So that's what's in your counterclaim.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
All right, so then let's look at their claim. The quote was for $13,940.20.
13,860 was the original invoice.
That's correct.
Yes. Then the actual invoice submitted on 7/25 had a credit card fee and some other stuff. So 13,940 minus 11,1438. Now, what's been paid since 11/14/38?
Since 11, he has sent us a $200 check, which brought the balance that he owes, excuse me, to $2,625.82. And then due to the timing of everything, we had a finance charge added on for the overdue balance of $39.39, bringing the total amount balance due according to our records to $2,665.21.
All right, and that's close to what you pled. Now, he does seem to have some legitimate issues here. I can't tell about the sinkholes. The quality of the video wasn't really good enough for me to see it, but it's breaking up along the edges. And your claim is he didn't give you a chance to fix it. And then he used a self-remedy. The project was put in on the 25th.
So we go
and by
clients that they
within 2 weeks, he was already doing stuff to it.
It said with landscaping that they have to shore up the edge anytime an asphalt, and we go over this with the client, is left with a full 3 to
You guys never did though.
of the asphalt. Gravity can pull away. It's why we put that landscaping has to be done, which we go
Which
over.
isn't also in the contract.
All right, again, only one person can talk at a time.
Sorry, Your Honor.
We also, I mean, I have video evidence. I did this a week ago to a client that we paved that had the exact same situation. I don't know how to show you photos over Zoom.
Yeah.
It shows the exact same edge cracking, and I don't know if you can at least attempt. If you can't, please let me know. I completely understand. But you can see like that edge crack.
Yes.
And then as we zoom out, you can see the same crack along the edge there that shows the back of the car. All that we do is we take an asphalt torch and a tamp, and we heat the asphalt back up to close to the 200 to 300 degree temperature that it is when we put it down. We hit it with the tamp and it smooths everything back out. And I don't know how well you can see that, but that entire edge, the crack is gone and the entire
Yes, I can see it.
loose asphalt is corrected. That repair and that 10 feet of repairs took me maybe 15 to 20 minutes. And I talked to the homeowner and explained the same thing, that with a couple bags of topsoil, he probably never needs to call me again. If it did happen again, to call me, I'd come back out and do the same thing to address the situation. And it truly, we do that, I would say, out of all the driveways we do a year, there probably is somewhere between 2 and say 10, I don't know what the average is, but somewhere in that range every year that we get these calls and we show up with a little tamp and a torch and we heat it up and we fix it. And I would say if on the worst side you do 10 a year, I don't know. I think maybe one I've got called back to a second time.
All right. Mr. Blair, anything else you wish to say?
I would like to know why Terry just showed up if the owner himself is the one going out repairing it. Why is Terry coming out if he's the one fixing them? If it's that simple, I'm not understanding that, because I have them on recording that when they did this, they knew that this would happen. And
Well, what's the difference? If the service manager comes out to look at it,
when Terry left, there was no mention of anyone coming back out or future calling or contacting. I was basically under the impression I was on my own. And then the last time I made any online complaint, I got follow-up calls asking me to change my review. That's what I thought they were doing. I've never had anyone show up at my house unannounced after I make an online complaint, but here we are. That's what Terry did.
well, maybe he came out to see what the concern was. So,
But
Mr.
the
Moyer, he
owner
says,
testified that he's not qualified, though, Your Honor. If the owner testified he's not qualified, why is he the one coming out?
well, he's qualified to look at it.
That's not his testimony, though.
Well, Mr. Moyer, did you come out and look at it?
Yes, I did, sir. And at that time, there was when we put the second layer of asphalt on, we pulled the top layer over the bottom layer, and that's what had cracked, which was very minimal amount, would have taken very little to fix it. And then there was the mention of the garage door being opened and about us having Hispanics working for us and different things like that. But that was it. And then that was kind of the end right there, is that I would get it fixed. It was, wasn't going to do it that night that when I come, but I would have fixed it. And then, we had review and stuff. We just didn't feel comfortable going back out there until we all went out, and we would have fixed it that day.
So you all went out there that day, which was the 25th or something. Did you have the tools and equipment with you to repair it on that day?
Yes, sir. We both carry around those tools and equipment in our trucks pretty much the entire summer because, well, I do those repairs I do all the maintenance for Michigan Paving, Lakeland, Reach Riley, and I get phone calls on a darn near daily basis to go repair things like this for them.
All right. So you said at some point he told you to leave and not come back?
Yes, sir. And we got in our cars after he had videotaped us and he said, "Don't come back. I don't want you on my property." And that's after he had already done his own self-help repairs and those things. And we have not, other than sending updated invoices with the updated totals, we haven't made any contact with Mr. Blair since then.
may I add context to when they did come out, Your Honor, they did nothing but circle around and refuse to even acknowledge. I did point out the sinkholes and they completely glossed over it and didn't even address it. From what I'm gathering, they're gonna have to rip that whole section up just to fix it if they have to. I did point out the cracking. They had no tools with them. If they did, yeah, it was in the truck. But I mean, if I was gonna go fix something, all they had to do, if it was that long and if they were willing to, I would have helped them. I even stated that to them. But they didn't bring any tools. They did nothing but make excuses. They walked around and they were nothing but condescending, rude, and disrespectful. I got agitated, went in, grabbed my phone, started recording them, and they kept lying to me. I mean, it's just at some point in time, if they were gonna fix it, why didn't they say, hey, you know what I'm gonna do? I got stuff in my car. Let's fix it. And they didn't even do that, Your Honor. So they had the tools. Why didn't they bring it out and say, hey, show me where the cracks are, we'll get it done?
There was
They couldn't even do that. The first 5 minutes was just me arguing with them, and all they did was making excuses about it. And at one point, before the crack was even about 20 foot long. I don't know. And I said, I was on my own. I didn't know what to do. And I'm asking them. I even followed up with a professional letter saying, hey, you guys need to fix this because I don't feel comfortable. I mean, I can read you an online review where they broke into people's houses, and that's not normal.
What was the date of your letter?
Oh, the formal date, I don't have it in front of me, Your Honor, but I did send it out, and they did receive it. I believe it was.
We haven't cleared this one.
And I know they did sign it because they did get the check. So they had the letter.
All right, well.
And I did state the depressions, and they were showing all this, Your Honor. And they glossed over it. And every time I'd show them something, they would make an excuse. So I don't know what they were planning on doing when they came out there, but they just kept. I can play the whole video if you want to hear them. Just.
It's still.
And I even tested the asphalt, that the stuff I applied. It had no issue. It's standard asphalt sealant. It's the same stuff that they would use. Or similar. I mean, if they're worried about toxicity, which they never even said, I could have shown them. I had a tube in the garage. They never even asked. I assumed you would know what the stuff is because their company's TM Asphalt and Sealant. I assumed they would know this stuff, but they just, when I told them what I'd done, they didn't ask, hey, can you show me? Can you please? No, they didn't. They also assured me the driveway when it cracked, and here it is right here, examples that it's still cracking. I got chunks like this breaking up still, Your Honor. They assured me if I go home right now, I can pull a chunk out about that big in one spot. And what's going to happen underneath it is water is going to freeze, and if the whole thing's done by the end of this winter, that driveway is going to start having major issues. And I think that when they were behind schedule, they used subpar material. They rushed the job. I mean, they literally broke into my garage to park their machine to cool it down. I mean, I didn't even give them permission. They showed up 2 times.
All right, let's stop.
Yes, sir.
Do you think you're part of the problem? You're so angry. If I just sit there like this, you would rant for 45 minutes. I've got another lady waiting for her case.
Yes, sir.
You're so angry, there's nothing that they could do to make you happy.
I tried.
Then you stopped. This is my turn to talk. Then you went out there. You couldn't wait within 20 days of the time they put the substance down. You're out there putting around doing something without any professional advice because you were upset about it. We don't know about these sinkholes yet because we can't tell. They came out, they talked to you, they offered to make the repairs and you kicked them off your property.
They did not offer, Your Honor.
Well, that was their testimony.
I can play a video if you want to hear them. I have a whole video if you want to hear it.
I don't have time to hear it. So then you countersue them for things you can't sue for. PTSD and lawn damage. And the contract covers lawn damage. I agree, the edges look crappy on there. But you were puttering around out there with something without their blessing within 20 days of the time that they did it. They're a professional company that's been around here for years and years. And this was an expensive job. $13,000 isn't pocket change. And And of course, they're busy. They're busy every summer. So I don't take it as a criticism. They work from sundown to sunset. It just shows they work hard. So you have some idea that they gave you inferior materials and they rushed your job based on just your opinion about it. And then you're so mad at them that there wasn't anything they could do that was going to make it right. Then you kicked them off your property. And there's a contract. You're suing on breach of the contract, which controls. They gave you a price. They told you how much it was going to cost. They adheres pretty darn closely to the original quote. And according to their testimony, installed it according to standard practice. I would have liked to have given you something in your counterclaim to maybe level this out, but the counterclaim doesn't contain anything that I can award damages for.
Understood, Your Honor.
The amount due is $2,655.31. Plus $86.25 in costs. Is a total of $2,741.56. You would offer to make monthly installment payments in your answer. But that's not going to get it at $50 a month.
Whatever the court decides, Your Honor, I would just like to reiterate that the initial contact with Terry, there was no mentioning of fixing the driveway other than him doing it himself. No mentioning of any future contact from the company to fix it. I just want to reiterate that.
All right, that's
which is why I repaired it myself, Your Honor. Because I was under the impression that they were not going to fix it.
We're under a very short time frame.
Did Mr. Mosby would have said, or Mr. Moore would have said, I'll be back, we'll come back Monday, I would have never had an issue. They would have had a check after they fixed it. I could write a check today, but they demonstrated that they would have no problem breaking into my property, and they showed up 3 times unannounced. That's why I don't want them back on my property, Your Honor.
All right, fair enough. One claim, you claim they didn't do it. The other company claims they weren't supposed to be there. By 8:15, or 8:13, you paid them $1,000. All right, that's my ruling. You're going to pay this at least $200 per month.
Yes, sir.
Starting December 1st.
Do I get instruction from the court, or do I pay directly to them?
You pay directly to TM Asphalt.
Yes, sir. I will be.
You could pay it sooner if you want to just get it over with.
Well, I plan on it, Your Honor. I have more detail once I get more. I mean, I'm going to file with Laura and a whole bunch of other things about this in the future, so.
All right, that's up to you, but I would have tried to level it out, but as I said, there was nothing in the counterclaim I could award damages for. All right, if you go out to the counter, they'll give you a copy of this.
Yes, sir.
He owes you $2,741.56. Lesson learned here, I guess, has to do with customer service. In this day and age, people post opinions which can damage your reputation, whether it's deserved or not. I had a lady today who has mental illness problems that said on the record all kinds of things that I did, which I didn't. And you got an hour's worth of a trial on YouTube that people are going to have an opinion about.
I'm 100% disabled veteran, Your Honor. That's why I put that in there.
Well, thank you for your service. What service were you in?
Army, sir. Out of Fort Drum, and then I did a year on at Bob Fenty, Afghanistan, RC East, and then another year on a contract.
That's rough duty. Today is the 250th anniversary of the United States Marine Corps, which an Army guy might only tangentially appreciate. All right, you go out to the counter. The clerk will give you a copy of this.
Straight out the same door, Your Honor?
That's right over there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your
Thank you.
service.
What's that, sir? Room 107. 107. Do you need anything with the bag?
You're good to go. All right, gentlemen, thank you. All right. Ms. Brown, would you come up and have a seat? Thank you for your patience. You got a little bit of experience in the small claims process. We'll move TM Asphalt. I'm a little confused, frankly, regarding this next case. To tell you the truth.
I hope to help.
All right, there are two cases. No, I guess just one. Donna Brown versus John Paul Reading and Christy Worrell. You're John Reading?
John Redding, but I'll take whatever.
Reading, all right. And you're Christy Worrell?
Yes, sir.
And you're Donna Brown?
Yes, Your Honor.
Will you all please raise your right hand? You all swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. There are some things in here that you can't normally sue for in small claims court. As I said, a tort. You claim reimbursement, equitable indemnity, negligent misrepresentation against Christy Worrell and Mr. Reading in the alternative, and unjust enrichment. That one you may be able to sue for $4,500. And then I've got a bunch of stuff that I frankly can't completely comprehend. The other matter, as I understand it, the parties were not married, but they share a child. So there was no divorce. Generally, in a divorce proceeding, you can't supersede the circuit court's jurisdiction by filing an action in small claims court. And people try to do it all the time. So there's so much here, I can't quite even discern it all. But Ms. Brown, why do you believe that they owe you $4,500?
Yes, Your Honor. If you give me a moment to give you the backstory, and I will try to present this the best that I can so that you get the best understanding to the situation.
All right.
So Mr. Redding and I have two children together. We have court orders in place. I have sole legal and physical custody of the children. There was a court order established for both children that he has to provide insurance on the children and provide child support.
All right. Where are those court orders from?
They are from here within Centerville.
All right, St. Joe County.
St. Joe County, yes, and they are provided within the initial filing.
Yes.
Mr. Redding has not provided consistent insurance on the children. We have one child with very sick medical condition. He has kidney disease, which is bilateral hydronephrosis and RASA1 genetic mutation. So insurance is very critical to him. I was at home taking care of children, and the children were both enrolled in state insurance. This suit that I'm raising, I had out-of-pocket expenses due to what I'm going to discuss when Christy Worrell added the insurance, and I'll explain to you why it would fall under a small claims case. So what had happened is I had requested friend of the court to have John uphold his obligation for his insurance. And he did start a policy back in February of 2024. However, he terminated that policy. That policy did not impact Medicaid on the children, did not impact my son's children's special health care. There was no impact. If I have primary insurance, it does not impact the children's Medicaid, secondary Medicaid. But what had happened is Ms. Worrell, without my permission, without my consent, used my children's information, social security numbers, did not reach out to me as legal guardian of the children or discuss this matter or how it would impact state insurance before putting them on a policy. And what she did is she put the children on a policy but she used my address as her primary address. The state of Michigan, therefore, canceled Medicaid because she does not live at the address at 25951 Lantern Circle. So what had happened is, by her doing this, all medical bills then were rejected by the insurance company. And her insurance wouldn't cover either because of a dependency discrepancy. When she first enrolled the children, there was no marriage on file in the state of Texas during her initial hire and enrollment period. I had reached out to Atena, the insurance company, only on behalf of the children to try to see, once I got the Medicaid rejection letter, that there was going to be a lapse in coverage. And our son had important medical testing and procedures that were prior authorized and that he was going to be going for. So what had happened is this directly impacted where I had to change different plans of care around for our son because it would be astronomical medical bills. And I was able to move things where he only had two smaller University of Michigan medical bills, which I'm suing for, which I presented here, and the amounts of, I think, 88 for one and 200 and something for the other. I can get the direct amounts. And additionally, my daughter happened to have an emergency situation, so I was charged over $3,000 because no insurance would cover because of this choice made. I did not agree to that, and there was no prior friend of the court authorization, which was what they're saying. Later on, they said if a marriage was in place, but she still couldn't use my address. And I have right here to show you. This is Christy Worrell at my address in the state of Michigan. Of course, that causes dependency issues with state benefits. She does not live in Michigan, and these children are not her dependents. So what happened is I have direct financial losses due to this. Now, once her insurance.
All right, let's talk about those. How much are those?
Yes, so I have outlined within the summary. I believe it is on damages. If you go to attachment A, statement of claim, the damages I have at $4,500. This includes medical bills from University of Michigan, one for $88, one for $130, Sturgis Hospital, $3,597.07. That subtotal equals $3,815.07.
Stop, slow down. I don't think that's added up in here. Oh, there it is, yes.
Yes, and also he kept the United Healthcare insurance and not changed over to hers. That one would have done mileage reimbursement, so I have included that as well. I've also
just a moment. Mr. Stickley, I asked Shana to call down there. I don't think I'm gonna get to our friend, Mr. O'Brien.
I was just checking in because I was going to chat with you about something else, Your Honor. I didn't know how to be restored. I didn't mean to.
I'm up to here. So tomorrow is Veterans Day and we won't be here. I'll be on WBET at 7 a.m. if you want to listen to my radio presentation, but we'll work on it. The magistrate set his bond at $50,000 in his other case. It is not he's already pled guilty. He's just pending sentence.
Yep.
So we'll address it on Wednesday.
Okay. Enjoy your day tomorrow. Have a fun time on the radio. And I'll see you Wednesday.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for checking in. All right. I'm sorry. We had a criminal matter that we didn't get to. But go ahead.
Okay. In addition to that, the filing fees and process server fees, which I did submit through your clerk, and she did print me up a copy.
They're separate.
If those could be included as well.
Well, those can be in excess of any other claim. All right.
Additionally, there is a lot of problems between the parties and I, and her counterclaim for day off work, she would have had to take in already because we did have PPO hearings this morning.
Well, you normally can't sue for that sort of thing.
That was a counterclaim that she placed on me for time off work. So I'm just saying that she would have been in court today no matter what, had this case not been.
All right. There's a bunch of other stuff in here which isn't relevant. Pictures of Hummers and a bunch of
So
stuff.
what that was in regards to, Your Honor, is
I don't even want to know. We're just going to deal with these. So it's your contention that without your consent, and I'm not sure they need it, they had his consent. He's a parent, but they changed insurance. And because of that insurance, it eliminated your additional emergency health care benefits you had in the state of Michigan, resulting in costs that would have been covered, but were not.
yes, and he is ordered within the order to pay out-of-pocket expenses. John Redding is.
Mhm.
And as far as
Now that's up to them. You can't ask me to enforce
correct, anything from front of the court.
front of the court.
However, Christy Worrell should not have insured the children. I do have sole legal custody of the children, and any medical decisions would be up to me, not father at this point in time. And as
All right,
far
what's your authority for that?
I provided it on there. That is in our parenting custody order. One was in 2015.
Well,
for
let's
Kaylee.
take a look at that.
Yes,
Uh,
in 2021, I
Let me
believe.
see if I could find it. There's so much stuff in here.
If not, I can pull it up on my computer and show you, Your Honor. I may have only included the
Here it
support.
is. Said funky. All right, uniform order. What clause here?
I can show you this. It is ordered that plaintiff shall have physical and legal custody and care of the minor children of the parties. If you would like to see, I can bring it up.
I think I have it here, but I'm in front of the court orders are. What paragraph?
So I'm not sure if this is in the full filing or if this is its own independent order. If you'd like to show this stuff.
I can take this house.
Okay.
The defendant shall maintain health care coverage through the insurer that includes payment for hospital, dental, optical, and other healthcare expenses. And that coverage is available at a reasonable cost, including coverage available at a benefit of employment or under an individual policy, up to a maximum of $375 for the defendant. As for Kaylee reading and John reading. I'm not sure which paragraph you're speaking about, which says you have.
I have it here. It may not be included, but this, you can look within your system. This is file number 15839. And then they combine the dockets.
All right, well, what paragraph are you looking at in that document?
The first paragraph, it says Donna Brown plaintiff,
Yes,
John Redding, order for custody, parenting time, and other relief. All parties have agreed to the court otherwise being fully advised of the premises. It is ordered that plaintiff shall have the physical and legal custody and care of the minor child of parties, Kaylee Redding. And there's a second order for John Redding that is the similar verbiage where I have the physical and legal custody at this time of the children.
all right, now, let's talk about this $3,800 bill for Kaylee. What is that about?
So she had a high temperature, an emergency matter, and she had to be taken in. My mom had taken her in. I was trying to avoid taking children in during the time, knowing that there was this insurance crisis that was caused. The bill came to $3,000. I told you how much it came to, over $3,000. And I do have a letter from Sturgis Hospital. It says that please be aware the insurance company you advise this bill has delayed the processing of your claim because of a coordination of benefits issue. When I called Aetna on behalf of my children, it was due to a dependency issue. There was an ineligibility issue with her insuring the children. That caused the problem, and it caused the Medicaid to drop.
All right, so have you paid that bill?
The bill is still outstanding, $700. I'm working with Sturgis Hospital to get it resolved. I'm still out. I still owe U of M as well, all of the other bills.
How much?
This is what I'm out, this amount right here, and you can hand it to, this is the amount that I'm out for those two. And here's for those two. That's my total that I'm out.
$38,130.
And if you could also give him this shows that she used my address in Michigan.
You haven't actually paid that $3,597, is that correct?
I have a payment plan that I'm working with Sturgis Hospital to try to situate the situation. They're trying to rebuild things, trying to do everything that they can to try to work with me. Currently, that's the amount that is going to be showing on my credit if not fully paid.
All right, so she's laid out why she believes you owe this. It's not equitable indemnity or negligent misrepresentation. It's that you changed your insurance. Now, I'm sure it was done with good intention to put the children on your insurance, but under the way it worked out, she contends it made her ineligible for the other coverage that she had, and then your insurance didn't cover it.
Your Honor, when I brought it to their attention.
Just a minute.
May I say something?
Yes.
So prior to us insuring the kids on my insurance, we called the friend of the court and had them review both of the policies that John was responsible for. And they gave us permission to put the kids on my insurance. And in Texas, they actually recognized domestic partnership, which we did file as of 1/8 of last year. And so I under my insurance, actually, John is a dependent. It's actually domestic partnership is how it's phrased. And then his kids are listed as domestic partner dependent. So he's my domestic partner. And then I had to choose under the option for his children, domestic partner dependent. So that's how it's phrased in the healthcare world. And when she, so in.
All right, let me stop you for a
minute. Option.
Let me stop you for a minute. So I'm not familiar with Texas, but in Michigan, if you were married, you could cover his children under your insurance policy.
So it's the same thing.
All right, so in Texas, it's not called a marriage, it's called a dependent partnership.
So we filed a
formal marriage.
Yeah.
It's stamped county seal.
So
what's the date of the marriage?
It's as of 1/8 of 2025.
That is incorrect. I do have, they filed it in.
I didn't ask you anything. I'll give you a chance to speak. This is their turn.
We did file it on March 27th, but on the paragraph, it actually says on or about 1/8/2025, we agreed to be married. And so in their system, it actually is dated as 1/8/2025. And So, so it's the same thing. So it's seen as a marriage whenever you're putting them on there. And because of the turmoil and the disputes between John and Donna, we had been advised by a friend of the court to send her kids' cards directly to the home. If I would have used her address as my permanent address, I could not work for that company. I could not be insured in the state of Texas. My kids were also insured under that policy. I was insured under that policy. Our cards came to my home. Their cards went to their home. And Donna called my work place of employment so many times that they called me and told me that it was concerning and I probably needed to consult an attorney for how concerning it was with what she was saying. And so later after that, I actually had my company reach out to the Medicaid in Michigan to make sure that they were still okay. And they said that there was no conflict of interest between my insurance and the insurance between the kids, that there was something probably that was done on Michigan side that was not correct, but from their research and what they had entered, it was non-conflicting to the kids.
And in fact, if you look on Exhibit 8 that she
Just
submitted.
Just a moment. What's the matter?
Oh, I was just
I took.
Oh, you did. Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
All right. Who did you talk to at the friend of the court's office?
It is, we spoke with both Amy Wright as well as on the 5th, Liz.
Amy Rice?
Right. W-R-H-T.
Right. And then Liz?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have a caseworker from friend of the court?
I believe it's either Amanda or Liz, Your Honor. I've got email correspondence from myself and the friend of the court when we sent them insurance cards. That.
All right. So before you transferred the children to your, now what insurance had you had, Mr. Redding?
So prior, which one was it?
I think it was UHC maybe.
I lost my job. And so it's a court order that I carry insurance. So my wife was nice enough to help me insure the kids to make sure, obviously my son has a lot of health issues. And I feel like that a lot of the reason why maybe something might not have been covered is because she was blowing up the insurance company's phone as well as my wife's employer regarding why it shouldn't be covered, as she's outlined in her exhibit 11, when it's just messages of her not wanting to allow the children to be insured.
By myself. She did not want me to insure them, even though Texas recognizes us as being married and I can insure them under my policy. They actually started insurance under my current policy as of 10/1, and I haven't heard anything of it affecting his insurance at all. So I'm not sure what the discrepancy was on her end. I don't know if she missed turning something in on her end, and that's why they weren't covered by Medicaid. But I personally had Aetna call my benefit specialist under the Dependent Health Services, call the state of Michigan Medicaid to make sure that there was no conflict of interest between their policies and mine.
And on her exhibit 11, it even says that there's a form that she can return and complete on her exhibit 11.
I object to false evidence.
Here,
Well,
if he was stated here,
They're making a lot of false claims.
Slow down. These exhibits, I'm trying to find exhibit 11. There's so much extraneous stuff in here. It's hard to, I don't know what is exhibit 11. All right. So your contention is you lost your job, so you didn't have any insurance. So you got married in Texas and your wife's company is willing to insure her new spouse's children. So she put your children on her insurance to comply with the Michigan court order. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And you called the friend of the court first and said, hey, we're going to do this.
Yes, Your Honor.
That is incorrect.
Well, we'll find out when we have to call them. And so that was done. And I wasn't clear exactly what you talked about when your partnership was. When was the date that children placed on insurance?
As of May 1st of 2025.
I have a letter that says from April 14th to children. That's when the cards were mailed to me. So that is incorrect, Your Honor.
Say that again.
April 14th, I received the letter. So May 1st is incorrect, Your Honor. The children were insured already in the month of April. The informal marriage that they submitted was 3/27/2025. There was no record with the state of Texas during the time that she enrolled the children, which is why the beneficiary situation started. I had called Aetna, not her employer, multiple times. That is incorrect and lies. There's also a false police report that Ms. Worrell has submitted on me in regards to that. I only called in regards to my children's insurance, where Aetna themselves are the ones that told me prior to any medical treatment. That's how I knew it wasn't going to be covered, because Aetna said, no, this is going to cause major dependency issues, because the way that this employer works, that your children can't be dependents. Excuse me, it's my time. What had happened was.
Stop.
It might go first. I could have been misconfused on the dates, but
They were insured.
All right, so either in April or May, the children were on your insurance.
yes, it was either April 1st or May 1st. I mean, they were.
Well, the point is, the date of service here was May 27. Is that correct? For your daughter?
I believe the date of service, yeah, there was about a 2-month period that the children were enrolled. The insurance started April. I believe it ended in June. I got a COBRA statement that insurance had ended. That was sent June 11th. So insurance was terminated during the month of June. I did notify Mr. Redding and Ms. Worrell that, hey, this is going to impact. I also went to DHS office.
Stop. I ask short questions and you give me a long paragraph.
I apologize.
So the date of service for your daughter was May 27th. Is that correct?
That is what it shows on the bill. I believe that's the date.
The dates of service for your son were April 29th and May 16th. Now, they billed United Healthcare Community Plan Insurance. Whose insurance was that?
That would be the state of Michigan that rejected. They were on a United Healthcare Community Plan. And it became active once Christie's policy ended. It reactivated.
Well, it says not billable service. I'm not sure what that means.
It's because she had started a primary insurance with a dependency issue. I'm also the one who reached out to friend of the court, and when I got this on April 14th, and friend of the court had no knowledge, they had to actually look into it, and there should be some emails looking into it. They later determined if a full marriage did take place, they don't care who insures the kids on that end, but they did not call and get this approved ahead of time. I'm sorry that they did lie, though.
Well, we might have to hear from friend of the court.
Their
Now,
exact,
right now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
their exact wording was, I've entered the insurance information in our system that children have coverage through a third party, Christy Worrell. That's directly from Amy Wright from the court.
So we did call prior.
What was the date of that?
That email was on
That
for
was
that's the most current one. I apologize. Let's see. This one is on October 9th for again, and then because we changed the insurance again. The first one was when I sent the email cards to Liz was on May 5th.
That was much after.
But prior to us changing over, we did call because I was with John, and we did call the friend of the court because we were not going to change the kids over to my insurance policy if they did not give us approval. So because I also have kids with other gentlemen, and so I know how the court system works, Judge, and so I was not going to allow John to let me put them on the policy if the friend of the court was not, if it wasn't under his his order, because I know what trouble it brings. And so I wouldn't put myself in that situation in doing so.
But we're literally getting sued because we insured my kids, which is court ordered.
And honestly, I don't know why they paid so much money because if I can remember correctly, the policy was either $150 for the ER visit, and that was the deductible, or it was $250. I can't remember which one. If it was admitting, it would have been $500. And so the policy I actually obtained was the highest PPO policy that I could actually obtain through my insurance company, so they could have the lowest out-of-pocket deductibles. And because I knew that Johnny was sick. And so, but me being a mom, I have 2 children we have court orders as well. I would not have allowed John to let me put them on my policy without permission from front of the court.
And I feel that if she was as difficult with us in regards to just sending her insurance cards as she was with the hospital, I would, or with any of the insurance companies, I would assume.
Objection.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I didn't even hear what he said. But what he did say is, I'm being sued because I put my kids on my insurance as I was ordered to do by the court. Now, that is well and good, but her contention is because of that, I now have a $3,597 bill. But it doesn't yet sound like it's completely rectified. There may be a
Actually send me the
coordination
paperwork, Judge. I will fill it out and I can contact the hospital and submit that, because I also handle claims under my current position. So if she would like help with that, you could actually email that to us. I'll fill out the form myself and make sure that was covered under that insurance policy. And even if it was $250, John actually has something under the friend of the court to where she submits that into the friend of the court for him to pay through his child support. So, I mean, that's honestly, I would be willing to help fill out all those forms to make sure that all of that was covered if she was unwilling to use my insurance card because she is prideful.
Your Honor, they're twisting this around from really what's been going on in the
All right, well,
situation.
let me stop for just a minute. What insurance is on the kids right now?
I'm currently covering them under Blue Cross Blue Shield as a primary, which is why her primary is not impacting the children right now, because they're under me and they have Medicaid as a secondary. Medicaid works with any primary as long as there's no dependency issue. They were notified that there was a dependency issue prior to the children receiving any bills, and Christy Worrell and John could have at that point in time dropped the insurance. There wouldn't have been any issues. There wouldn't have been any bills. They refused to.
The problem is he's ordered by the court to have insurance on the children.
And there was no problem with him covering the children.
Okay.
And he also had lapses in insurance prior. What had happened is, once they used the children's information, and I have found out that they had used the information and it wasn't going to insure the children and it was going to mess up our son's healthcare. And I had a whole bunch of prior authorizations and things for him to be sedated for like his MRIs and all these things set up. And it's still now delayed to this day. And it's a big thing for our son to have care delayed. So they can paint a picture that they're trying to help. But what it was is there's a huge other problems going on with financial control and abuse. And this would put me in a worse situation.
All right, well, let me back up. He's ordered by the friend of the court to provide insurance for the children. That order is in effect.
Yes.
So he provides coverage for the children through his spouse's health care.
They filed this, I believe, with the intention of insurance fraud. They state this back to 1/8 of 2025, but they were at my house on the property with police called on 1/25 of 25, and they did not report themselves as married to that officer. They presented themselves as boyfriend and girlfriend. What they did is they filed an informal marriage after I reached out to the state of Texas and said someone had used my children's information without legal grounds to use the information to start this policy that's now impacting my children's health care.
So I don't believe that. I don't think he went out of his way to insure these kids just to screw with you. I think he was trying to comply with the court's order. Now, so you're rejecting that coverage for the children currently?
They had ended it. They basically screwed it all up. And then she cut the policy. Why did you cut the policy? You can ask her. I don't know.
So you called my job so many times, they fired me. So thank you.
I never called the employer. I called the beneficiary
All
line
right,
through Aetna.
so,
They fired
so you
me
lost,
because how many
you
times?
lost the job that had that insurance?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
true?
She called so many, no, that's not my current position. I'm with a different company, but she called my job so many times, they let me go the following week. That's why they lost coverage at the end of June. So thank you for that.
I never did have anything to do
I
with
know it
her.
wasn't your intent, however, it happened.
All right,
They also just recently
all
sold.
right, stop just for a minute.
Yes.
All right, so you put them on this coverage either in April or May. Then because she called your place of employment so much, they fired you. So
Yes,
you
sir.
lost your job and lost that insurance.
Yes, sir.
All right, so are the kids on any insurance between the two of you now?
Yes, so I actually, I waited because I waited till I found a good company because healthcare is kind of hostile. And so I found a company that I'm currently working for. And that's why I get it confused. Some start within 30 days, some start within 60 days, some start within 90 days. So it's hard to keep up with. But with my current employer, it started as of 10/1 of 2025. And it's also an Aetna policy. And the max out of pocket for both policies, Judge, was no more than $4,000. So one visit to the medical, you could have gone to the ER. That bill alone, if she did not file under insurance and paid the $250 deductible and sent the bill to John, it would have actually covered everything moving forward for Johnny at zero deductibility. Same thing with this policy, Judge. I got the highest PPO plan possible because I know he is ill and I have children myself and my daughter is also ill, also has a blood disorder. So it's very important that they have the policies correct. And so I made sure that they had the least out of pocket expense and the lowest deductible to make it the most easy. So Donna can just submit any receipt that she has into the front of the court, which it seems she's refusing to do so.
Not to mention that the deductible, from my understanding, gets eaten up by the state insurance that
Well,
she
it's not
has.
just the deductible, it's the max out of pocket. I got the lowest max out of pocket. The deductible for my current policy and now I think for family it was 4,000 and for out of pocket it was like maybe 4 or 6 for the last one. This one is only 6,000 and $1,000 deductible. So literally one visit to the doctor's office and it'll cover everything.
All right, so right now, these children are covered under your employer's Aetna policy from Texas.
Your Honor, I pay $1,600 a month for my children's insurance.
I didn't ask you anything. I'll come back to you in a minute. So are they on your policy in Texas
Yes, sir.
as of
The same-
October 1?
Yes, sir. The same way I did it last time, I did it this time. They offer a domestic partner and then domestic partner dependent, and I can actually send that into the court so you can review it.
All right. Ms. Brown, your indication is that you now have a Blue Cross Blue Shield policy?
I've been paying insurance because I had to do what I had to do to make sure that our son could get his medical care needs met.
And when
Also
did you start that?
in June. And I also would like to show Miss Worrell just sold her home. And she sold her home and signed a single affidavit at the same county in Texas. And here is her official deed that she sold her home. This was public records. I only obtained public records. I also never contacted her employer like she's saying multiple times, and she has just recently falsified a police report.
Stop.
But I'd like you to see.
Stop. That's not relevant. I believe she got fired because you called her boss in her
I'm
employment.
not called the employer.
Well, I believe she lost her job because of your earnest efforts
My
regarding this
understanding is she had
insurance.
misdemeanors unreported.
All right, now, so you bought your own policy here in Michigan in June. So are the kids double insured?
I'm not aware that they even have a policy. I just know that right now, when I've gone to the doctor, no other policies have showed up other than the Blue Cross Blue Shield, and the Medicaid is a secondary.
She should have received that from the front of the court. It said, again, we sent it to the front of the court on October 9th, where it says that showing the children have coverage to a third party, Christy Worrell.
Effective 10/1/25, medical and RX coverage, vision and dental coverage as well. I got, like I said, Judge, I actually.
Because no matter what Miss Brown does, you're still ordered by the friend of the court to provide health insurance. Is that correct?
I am.
I offered with friend of the court to sign off on that coverage just so that they wouldn't mess up, so that my son can't get his health care again and me get stuck with $3,000-$4,000 in bills. If they cover an insurance, it has to actually cover the children and not kick him out of all of his other insurance. The problem is I'm out financial losses from this decision, and they chose to not remedy it. All they had to do was.
I can get the form to fill out for you, because I know that you didn't turn in the insurance card and now you brought us here and it's frivolous. But if you would actually send that to the friend of the court to send to us, I'll fill it out for you. I'll call the hospital and I'll get it taken care of for you. And I'll submit all the receipts to the friend of the court.
Your Honor, there's been some extreme manipulation into the children's health care, because John is wanting the kids to go to Texas, and there's flight restriction list. They have both called University of Michigan MOPS, and they have prevented health care for the children. They have made it where my phone number has been changed. And what has happened is it's extending out my son to get his MRIs and his images, which will make him ineligible to go to Texas for the visitations. And that's what this is probably over. There is more to this story. They might sit there and tell you that, they're nice people trying to insure the children, but you weren't in the PPO hearing this morning. I'm out thousands of dollars. We have him and I still.
Well, you're not out yet. Sturgis Hospital's out at this point. If some insurance company will pay it, it could be reimbursed to the hospital.
I just want to be rectified for the amount that I'm out of pocket had this not happened.
Yes, and let's assume everything that you say is correct. Then what is it? Is it an unfortunate accident? They have a court order to provide insurance.
John does. Christy does not.
Yes. He loses his job. His wife, or whatever they call it in Texas, domestic partner, agrees, which she didn't have to put the children on her policy. They say they called the friend of the court and told them that, and they did it. Then in the case of the right hand, not knowing what the left hand was doing, it somehow made your children ineligible. And I'm still not completely clear about that. But
Your Honor, he quit that job.
Stop. I'll give you a chance to speak. You didn't have a chance to coordinate my thoughts. So what is that? He follows a court order and gets insurance. He checks in with a friend of the court and they say, okay. Unintended consequence is that there's an unpaid bill. They maintain if it was submitted, they would submit it and get it paid. Your theory is that they somehow did this with nefarious intent. So what's your response to that?
Your Honor, I've been subject to extreme financial control. Mr. Redding and I, we own a home together. I had, during the same exact window, I had a forbearance for the home that was filed, and he called and canceled that so that I would almost lose the house into foreclosure. The house was run through court. He ended up requesting dismissal based on rights of survivorship so that I couldn't sell the house. So I've been completely financially trapped in this situation. All of those other things were added on, all of his sales. That's his job that he's not reporting to the IRS or to the friend of the court, making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Him and Miss Worrell have just recently bought a new home. On the old home, she filed single and not homestead when in the same county in Texas. So that would hide the asset. He owes over almost $10,000 in back child support. Yes, he quit the job, but he didn't quit the job to help these children and put them on her insurance, like he's saying. There's a whole lot of backstory to this, Your Honor, and I'm being honest. A whole lot of backstory of domestic violence and everything else that's going on in Judge Patterson's courtroom right now, and with the home and with finances. And this was just one other tool. This was just one other tool to set me back. They were made aware. I told them, this is going to charge me out of pocket. Please remove the insurance so that the children can continue the care under the Medicaid. All they had to do was remove it. We could have worked with friend of the court or changed an order. They could have put in a request to not have to insure the children. That didn't happen. They knew that the children would not be covered due to this dependency issue. They continued to keep the insurance. It in turn caused me out thousands of dollars. It increased more financial strain to me. There is a lot more. Then a false police report was made, and even to you in this court saying I harassed an employer. She did not, she lost her job over what I'm assuming is at a healthcare facility and didn't report her misdemeanor. She is also being charged right now for child endangerment or neglect or hurting her.
Pending, and that is irrelevant.
Stop. Is there any more bad stuff you want to say about them? This isn't about that. This is about all the background. And you're angry and you're resentful and you've got a list of grievances longer than my arm.
Yes.
But they followed the friend of the court order to provide insurance. You didn't have the authority to unilaterally tell them to take the insurance off of there. This is also more a friend of the court matter than it is a small claims matter. And people often try to jumpstart a divorce or custody and visitation order by taking it to small claims court. So that's the first fundamental problem. It's a front of the court issue rather than ours. And secondly, I find they were in compliance with the court order. So I find for the defendants, the damages are zero. If you want further argument in the front of the court.
Your Honor, I can't submit to friend of the court beyond the time that it took for the insurance to try to run these bills and run these bills. That's why I'm asking you to please help me make this right, that they have.
Well, you can give the bill to them and they will do it. But I find that they were complying with the friend of the court order and they provided the insurance. You take her out, she get a copy of that. We'll send a copy to you. All right.
The 10th.
Okay.
My calendar has been given to the clerk's office, or you will get it.
I've got it pulled up, so I had it entered right. We could do it.
It changes daily, so just make sure you get the most current iteration of that. So
Could do March 11th for trial. It should be just a 1 day.
all right, go ahead and show it set for March the 11th, and if you settle all of these cases, you can set it for. You can do it on February the 10th if you want.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Now back to the jail.
Your Honor, this is Mario Cassio, page 1, docket number 19748.
All right. Mario Trinidad Cassio.
I represent Mr. Cassio, Judge. This is a status review on a mental health evaluation. That was filed at the beginning of November, I believe on the 3rd. Dr. Moore, I don't believe, to my knowledge, has seen him yet, or at least I haven't gotten a report from her yet.
All right, so you want to reset this for the March 10th date as well?
Can we, Judge?
Mr. Casio, we're waiting on the results of your evaluation so that your lawyer has all of the information necessary to help you with your case. So we're going to go ahead and reset it for March 10th. Give him a chance to talk with you and see what you can work out. All right.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
I've already had my evaluation. The only thing I'm waiting for is for me to get paperwork to give to sign so they can get my medical records. I was supposed to sign it that day, and it's been 3 weeks, and the sheriff's office has not given me the paperwork. And that's all she's waiting on is for me to sign paperwork for my medical records to be released to her.
All right. Well, what we're going to do is let Mr. Vaughn, who is your attorney, can check into that and find out why the results have not yet been provided to us. But as soon as he has those results in hand, he'll talk to you about what your options are, and you and he can decide what's in your best interest, and then we'll move forward from there. But I want you to understand that he's working on your behalf, and he needs to have that evaluation. Okay? All right, thank you. Anybody else who is counsel here will all stand up at once. I will take you up on arraignments and short matters in between the jail cases. So what is your name? I'm sorry, what is your client's name?
Julie Riggs on behalf of Jason Mangum on page 5, Your Honor. We're not Mangum, M-A-N-G-U-M. He's present in the back of the courtroom, Judge, and we're not quite ready to set this for trial. We'd ask for one of those March dates.
Do you have any opposition?
No, Your Honor, I think she was just recently retained.
All right, so you want to set this for March the 10th as a final plea day? March the 10th. That will be the last day that we'll be able to accept a settlement, so make sure that you get everything done before then. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
You'll sign a trial date if it's not resolved that day.
Thank you. May I be excused?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
All right, at the jail, who do we have?
Your Honor, this is Christopher Finch, page 2, docket number 18990.
All right, this is Mr. Finch. You're here to be arraigned on a charge of probation violation. You have the right to an attorney. Do you wish to have a lawyer represent you?
Yes, I need a lawyer.
All right, I'm going to report the public defender's office, and Mr. Winston Vaughn, who's one of the assistant public defenders, is here. So we will appoint their office to represent you. Do you wish a formal reading of that affidavit?
No, Judge, we'll waive that and everything.
All right. Plead not guilty is entered. Do you want to set this for the 18th?
Whoops. Doesn't appear that there's any kind of pending charges. Yes, Judge. Let's see.
All right, we're going to set you for November the 18th to see if we can resolve your case.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll be up to talk with you. Thank you.
Knowles, Kelly Knowles.
Mr. Vandervoort, you said you had something? Hunt?
Yes, sir. And Judge, we would like to reset that to March 10th. There's still discovery that's ongoing in that matter.
All right, March the 10th. I assume the state's in agreement with that.
Yes, ma'am.
Due to discovery, we'll reset it for March 10th. If it's not resolved on that day, we'll assign a trial date.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, at the jail, who do we have?
Your Honor, this is Shelley Knowles, page 4, docket number 19786.
Ms. Knowles, you are here to be arraigned on a charge of aggravated assault and domestic assault. You have the right to an attorney. Do you wish to have a lawyer represent you?
I thought I did have an attorney.
All right, well, you may have.
Your Honor, public defenders had a conflict, and I was appointed in general sessions, did the preliminary hearing, so if the court wants to appoint me.
We will appoint Mr. Jake Lockert on the Cheatham County Bar to represent you on this. I'll hand him a copy of the indictment. You wish a formal reading of that?
Your Honor, waive a formal reading, enter a plea of not guilty.
Plea of not guilty is entered. Gentlemen, when do you want to set this?
That's a Miss Sylvie case, so she tracks with me, I guess, for plea in March as well.
All right, March the 10th. For status, the lawyer will be up to talk with you. See if we can get you ready for a disposition or a trial.
For the clerks, that'll be General Sylvie.
Shelby Sylvie.
Yes, sir.
I'll get down to see you again.
No, Mr. Lock, the other Mr. Lockert, so.
Page 1, first case on the docket, Ryan Babcock.
We need to do like there was with Jennifer and good Jennifer and bad Jennifer and like you, and we have good lockers and bad lockers here.
I'll let you make that judge as to which one I want to be. And I hope I'm the
I
good.
think I know the answer already, but we'll go from there.
Judge, Mr. Babcock here in the first row. We're simply want to place that on the 18th with the general's approval. We're trying to get in touch with the victim. And,
March 18th. Is that?
December.
I'm sorry.
December 18th.
No, November 18th.
November
18th. All right.
It's month 8.
Next week. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. I'm sorry. At the jail.
Your Honor, this is Roy Mayo, page 5, docket number 19423 and 19424.
Good morning. I represent Mr. Mayo. And Judge, today we're asking for one more date. I know that we had previously set this to set for trial. We've got an expert in this case. I've passed on the information my expert's asking for from the state. I believe we'll get that wrapped up pretty quickly. So as soon as Your Honor, whatever available date you have next, whether it be in February or March is fine with me.
Well, in February, I'll be in Waverly, Tennessee, or in Humphreys County. So I'm back here in March. And it just becomes a question of, do we want to go ahead and assign a trial date, General, or do you want to?
Not at this point, because like he said, I need to give him access to his expert for whatever evidence we have. I'm not sure we have much, but.
And we will set this for March the 10th, but that will be the final plea day. So we need to get everything resolved so that you can resolve it on that day or set it for trial.
Yes, Your Honor. And Mr. Mayo, I'll come see you soon. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Have Paul Harris, 2024 CR 19646. Your Honor, we've reached an agreement with the state to propose to the court in this matter. This is an 11-count indictment. In count 10, he would plead guilty to the amended charge of harassment, a Class A misdemeanor. He'd be sentenced to 11 months, 29 days. That would be suspended to unsupervised state probation. He would have no contact with Olivia Young, Shavonna Shaw, and William Shaw. No contact includes direct and indirect contact, as well as posting on social media. Counts 1 through 9 and count 11 would be dismissed in settlement.
All right, Mr. Harris, raise your right hand. Let's have you placed on the road.
I do.
State your full name for the record. You can put your hand down now.
I'm sorry, I can't
You
hear
can put your hand down, but state your full name for the record.
Paul Harris, Paul Drake Harris.
Stand right there in front of that microphone. Move over to your right a little bit. All right. This is a hard place to hear in, so.
It is, and I'm hard of hearing, and.
You're not the only one in this courtroom who's hard of hearing, so
Yeah.
just know that. State your full name again, please.
Paul Harris.
All right, Mr. Harris, you are here today charged with a multi-count indictment of harassment. It's been indicated that you're going to enter a plea of, is it a guilty plea? Is that correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
You're going to plead guilty to 1 count of harassment.
Yes, sir.
But do you understand what you're charged with? Have you seen or been shown a copy of those charges and talked them over with Mr. Clark, and you and he discussed the range of punishment you're facing as well as any possible defenses you might have?
I do.
Well, it's indicated that you want to enter a plea of guilty. Do you understand that you have a right to plead not guilty and to have a speedy and public trial by jury?
I understand.
Do you understand that you would have the right to have a lawyer, and if you could not afford your own, you would be able to have one appointed for you if
Yes,
we
sir.
found you indigent?
Yes, Your Honor.
You don't have to hold on to that microphone if you don't want to. You don't have to hold the microphone. There you go. Do you understand that if you went to trial, you would be presumed to be innocent until such time if ever the state proved your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt to the satisfaction of all 12 jurors, and their verdict would have to be unanimous before you could be convicted of anything?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand? Do you want to give him that opportunity? All right. Maybe this will assist you. Do you understand that if you went to trial, you and Mr. Clark could confront and cross-examine every witness the state called to testify against you, and you could bring in your own witnesses by using a subpoena?
I do. Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that you would be presumed to be innocent at trial? You would not have to testify or prove anything, and no inference of guilt would arise because you did not testify in your own trial?
I do. Yes, Your
Do
Honor.
you understand that if you went to trial and you were found guilty, you could appeal that conviction and the sentence imposed to the Court of Criminal Appeals and have a lawyer appointed to help you with that appeal?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're waiving your right to a trial and to an appeal? And all I'm going to do is approve what you and Mr. Clark have worked out with the state.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that's going to result in a conviction, a misdemeanor conviction, but a conviction nonetheless, that will be on your record in the future to make more severe the punishment you receive if you are ever again convicted of a crime?
I do. Yes, Your Honor.
Now, do you understand that this means, according to this agreement, the state, for whatever reason, they have agreed with your lawyer that that your sentence will be suspended to unsupervised probation, which means you're going to have an 11-month and 29-day jail sentence hanging over your head for the next 11 months and 29 days.
Yes, sir.
And even though you're not reported to a probation officer, if you violate the law, if you violate this contact order, this no contact order, then you will go to jail for 1 year. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand everything I've explained to you?
I do.
Do you want to plead guilty according to this agreement and waive your right to a trial?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was your decision to plead guilty today voluntary?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anybody forcing you to do this against your will?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is anyone forcing you to do this against your will?
Oh, no, Your Honor.
Do you understand I can't accept your plea unless I'm satisfied that you are guilty and there are facts to support it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then I want you to tell me, are you in fact guilty of this charge as charged?
I am guilty.
Then is the state going to give me the factual basis for it, or it speaks for itself? It's a harassment, correct? Right. They're waiving a factual, but you understand that you have been charged with the harassment of Olivia Young, Shavonna Shaw, or William Shaw, and you're to have no contact with those individuals.
I do. Yes, Your Honor.
And that means direct or indirect, as well as electronic contact and social media posts referencing the alleged victim in this case. You understand all of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Then I would ask you then, are you guilty of this harassment charge as you have indicated?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with your attorney's services?
Yes.
You feel like Mr. Clark has done a good job of representing you?
He's done a wonderful job. Yes, Your
Clark,
Honor.
you know of any reason he should not enter this plea? Anything further from the state?
No, Your
Then Paul Drake Harris in docket number 2024 CR 19646, upon your plea of guilty, I find you guilty of one count of harassment, and I sentence you to 11 months and 29 days in a county jail that will be suspended on 12 days that you previously served. We'll give you credit for those days, and it will be suspended to unsupervised probation. Your probation is conditioned upon you having no contact with Olivia Young, Shavonna Shaw, or William Shaw. That no contact, as I previously stated, means that direct or indirect contact, as well as electronic contact and social media posts referencing the alleged victim. The remaining counts are dismissed as a part of the agreement. You need to see the clerk. I assume he's paying the court costs. Is that correct?
Yes.
You'll need to see the clerk about the costs. Thank you. All right, at the jail, if you'll unmute, please.
Your Honor, this is Christopher Oliver, page 6, docket number 19618.
All right. Mr. Oliver, you're here to be arraigned on a charge of probation violation. You have the right to an attorney. Do you wish to have a lawyer represent you?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll appoint the public defender, and they're represented here by Mr. Winston Vaughn. And Mr. Vaughn, do you wish a formal reading of that?
No, Judge, we'll waive that in a plea not guilty.
The plea not guilty is entered. When do you want to set this?
Can we do,
We'll put it on November the 18th, and if it needs to be put off, we can put it off. We're going to set you for next week on November the 18th for hearing if it can be heard on that day. If there's some reason it needs to be postponed, we'll give you another date.
Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, I have Messiah Israel on page 4 of the docket. Mr. Israel's here in the courtroom in the back. We're here to get a date.
All right, so you need a date.
Yes, Your Honor.
And this is a stalking charge, is that right?
It is. There's 2 of them. 2 charges.
Violation of the order of protection on restraining order and stalking. All right. You want it tried this month?
Sure. I don't think Miss Sylvie would be appreciative of that, or General Sylvie, but
So if you're going to set it, you're going to have to set it in March, is that correct?
yes, Your Honor.
I'm standing in for General Sylvia today, and from her notes, she has March 24th and 25th specified with her Cheatham County Court.
March 20, let's just do March 25th.
25th.
Right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And this is Israel, is that correct?
It is, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Right. All right, at the jail, if you'll unmute, please.
Your Honor, this is Kelly Reed, page 7 and 8, docket number 19426.
All right. Public defender, you represent Mr. Reed.
Yes, this is Mr. Richter's case. Is it a amended VOP or?
This is an arraignment on an unlawful exposure. No, I'm sorry, that's a different case. This is Kelly Reed, so it's a probation violation, and it's an amended violation of probation arraignment.
Okay. Yeah, we put this on the December docket for wait formal reading or put it up.
Pleaded not guilty is entered. When do you want to set this one?
December, please. December.
December.
Is there a VOP date in?
16th is what I have.
Got
Or the 16th of December is what I have.
December 16th. All right. Your case is set for December 16th to allow Mr. Vaughn to have an opportunity to get ready for your hearing. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor. Just on behalf of my client's name is Richard Birdwell. I represent the Dismiss House, which is a treatment and reentry program. I was just informed this morning that he moved out a couple of weeks ago. I tried to get in contact with him and have not heard from him. So we will be withdrawing that motion to waive costs.
So on Richard Birdwell, the reason it's here was an appeal from the ruling in general sessions, and it was to appeal the cost. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor, that's
and you're
correct.
striking your notice of appeal then.
That's correct, Your Honor.
The appeal is dismissed on your motion. Thank you. All right, at the jail.
Your Honor, this is Joshua Widener, page 8, docket number 18322.
All right, Mr. Widener, you're here to be arraigned on a charge of violation of community corrections. You have the right to an attorney. Do you wish to have a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
We'll appoint the public defender who's here in the courtroom, Mr. Winston Vaughn. Mr. Vaughn,
Wait formal reading or plead not guilty, Judge.
plea of not guilty is entered, and when do you want to set it?
You can probably do this one next week, that it looks like.
All right, we're going to set you for hearing on November the 18th. If Mr. Vaughn needs more time, then we'll give you another date. But right now, you're set for November the 18th.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Morning, Judge.
I'm taking up whoever walks up to the podium, so.
I have a plea for you, Judge, Mr. Chauncey Spence, and he is in the courtroom. I'm not.
What was the name?
Spence Spence. Sorry, Judge, I don't know the docket number.
Right.
I'm sorry, the page number.
8. All right, I've been handed a document indicating that Mr. Spence is going to be entering a plea of no contest to count 3, possession with intent to sell a Schedule II drug, Class B felony, and he would receive a sentence of 8 years in the Tennessee Department of Corrections, suspended to supervised probation. He would be ordered to pay court costs and the mandatory fine, which is $2,500. Is that correct?
I was unsure, Judge. I didn't know if it was 2,000 or 3,000. And I'm trying to get clarification on that.
Mr. Willoughby is back there.
Put your hands up, everybody.
Do you know what what is the minimum?
2,000.
How much?
I said, I think it's 2,000.
2,000. All right.
Thank you, Judge.
We'll put that in there. The remaining counts will be dismissed. So Mr. Spence, raise your right hand. Let's place you under oath.
Yes.
Thank you. You can put your hand down. Now state your full name for the record.
Chauncey Spence.
Mr. Spencer, here today on an indictment charging with a sale of possession for with intent to sell of a controlled substance, and there was a multi-count indictment. It's been indicated you're going to enter a plea of no contest to one count and the rest would be dismissed. But do you understand that no contest plea means that you are not saying you did anything wrong? You're not going to admit anything, but you're not going to contest the state's evidence. And then they're going to tell me what their evidence would be at trial. And that evidence will be used by me to find you guilty according to this agreement. Do you understand that?
Yes, John.
Have you seen or been shown a copy of those charges against you and talked it over with your lawyer, and you and Ms. Stevens have an opportunity to discuss the range of punishment you're facing as well as any possible defenses you might have?
Yes.
You feel like you understand what you're charged with? All right. Do you understand that you would have the right to plead not guilty and to have a speedy and public trial by jury in this court?
Yes, sir.
You understand that if you went to trial, you'd have the right to have a lawyer and have one appointed if you cannot afford your own?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you went to trial, you and Ms. Stevens could confront, if you went to trial, you'd be presumed to be innocent until such time, if ever, the state proved your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt to the satisfaction of all 12 jurors, and their verdict would have to be unanimous before you could be convicted of any crime?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you went to trial, you and Ms. Stevens could confront and cross-examine all witnesses the state called to testify against you, and you could bring in your own witnesses by using a subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you went to trial, you would be presumed to be innocent? You would not have to testify or prove anything, and no inference of guilt would arise because you did not testify in your own trial.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you went to trial and you were found guilty, you could appeal that conviction and the sentence imposed to the Court of Criminal Appeals and have a lawyer appointed to help you with that appeal?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you plead guilty or no contest, rather, you're waiving your right to a trial and to an appeal, and all I will do is to prove what your lawyers worked out?
Yes, sir.
But do you understand that's going to result in a conviction, and that conviction is going to be on your record in the future to make more severe the punishment you'll receive if you are ever again convicted of a crime?
Yes, sir.
You understand everything I've explained to you?
Yes.
Do you want to waive your right to a trial and to an appeal by entering a plea of no contest?
Yes, sir.
Then is your decision to plead no contest today voluntary?
Yes, sir.
Anybody forcing you to do this
No,
against
sir.
your will? You understand I cannot accept your plea unless I'm satisfied there is a factual basis for it and that you are in fact guilty of these charges.
Yes, sir.
And I want you to listen as Mr. Willoughby tells me what the state's evidence would be if this case went to trial.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor, 19746 on January 9th, 2025, Agent Kent with the Cheatham County Sheriff's Office was traveling on Highway 12 past a white Mercedes. He had knowledge that Mr. Fitz did not have a valid driver's license. Conducted a traffic stop. During the traffic stop, there was an odor of marijuana coming from the vehicle. They did search the vehicle as well as Mr. Fitz's person. They found a large sum of money in his pockets. I believe it's around $1,400. And they explained to him that if they took him to jail and he had drugs on him in the jail, that would be a felony. At that point in time, he handed over what turned out to be 4.5 grams of what he claimed to be heroin.
I'm not asking that you agree with the state's evidence, but you understand that's what they would.
Times, and it's the kind of thing they never show in the movies because it is so dull. No offense, Judge Ramirez, but we appreciate you participating and giving some honest answers to us. And more importantly, going forward, we thank you for your dedication to this trial over the next 2 weeks. We realize fully that, this takes a lot out of your personal lives, your professional lives, and we appreciate that. So what I'm about to tell you is an opening statement, which is really a framework for you just to understand the evidence. You can kind of think of it like a movie trailer, right? I'm certainly not going to detail for you every little aspect of this case, but I'm going to kind of give you a general sense of what you can expect to see, right, in the coming days of this trial. If you could put up the PowerPoint, please. I just want to share with you 2 photographs as I speak with you this morning here. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Stephanie Pavlans. She is the person who was the subject of this homicide trial. She's a person you will not hear from directly in this case. This is Stephanie as she was enjoying life one day. The next photograph, please. This also is Stephanie Pavlon's. And this is what the case centers on, right? How did she end up dead in the woods in the town of Delafield in 2022? That's what the case is about. How did she get like this? You're going to hear a lot of testimony, ladies and gentlemen. And the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is be patient, right? This is a pretty complex case. It's not as if I can put one witness on the stand and have him or her explain the whole thing to you and we can be done in a day, right? You can realize if we're telling you this is going to take 2 weeks, you're going to have to be a little bit patient. You're given the opportunity to take notes. If that's something you're comfortable with, I would encourage you to take notes because there's a lot. There's a lot to keep track of. Maybe you're one of these guys that can just see it and hear it once and you're good. That's fine too. But the evidence that we're going to present to you through the course of these next 2 weeks is a culmination of a lengthy investigation, okay? You're going to hear that the Stephanie sadly was discovered by a construction crew who were out working in the area on the date of September 9, 2022. And you will hear that the reason they discovered her body is because there was an overwhelming odor as they were out working in the area. And that's what drew their attention to the woods and made them go into the woods to explore. And of course, made this horrible discovery. When investigators were first at the scene, along with the medical examiner and members of her staff, they could not even tell the gender of this person because the body had been so grossly decomposed over time. Judge Ramirez had warned you on Friday, some of these details are going to be a little bit gruesome, and we do apologize for that, but it's really important for you to know. The condition of the body when they found it was decomposed largely by insect infestation, maggots, so that her entire neck and face area was pretty much gone. There's no soft tissue. And I don't mean to sound flip, but her appearance was kind of similar to one of the Halloween skeletons you would see in your neighbor's yard this time of year, because there was no flesh, no soft tissue remaining. Stephanie Pavlons was 44 years old when she died. And you were going to hear a little bit of background about Stephanie, who she was. It's our understanding she grew up in Delafield. Her parents, Richard and Georgianne, longtime residents. I think they said they lived in their house more than 50 years in the city of Delafield. And she's a young woman, probably about 24, 25 years ago now. She met the defendant, Matthew Paul, at a bowling alley. And the two became involved with each other and remained involved in each other's lives till 2022. In fact, they had a child in common. They had a daughter born to them in 2003, Layla. They had never married. Their relationship is described by friends and family as on again, off again. It was obviously a personal relationship. They come in and out of each other's lives. They live together. And then Stephanie would go back and stay with her parents for a time or two, and then they get back together. In 2022, the defendant, Matthew Paul, had an apartment right on the other side of the golf course here, just down the street from us, off of Delafield Street in the city of Waukesha. And at that same time, we will present evidence to you that he was involved in an online relationship with 2 women in the Philippines, women that he had met through some kind of dating website or online chat room or something of that sort. And he was deeply involved with these women. This wasn't just like every now and then he'd chat them up and say, how's it going? He would talk to them on a daily basis. He became involved in an online sexual relationship with them. He would talk to them frequently. And he began to make plans to move to the Philippines with an intention, it seemed, to be involved in a personal or sexual relationship with one or both of them. He would describe Stephanie to these people as just a coworker or an employee. This all became derailed, his plan to move to the Philippines, in about June or July of 2022, when he injured his foot in some type of accident, his foot or his ankle. And it laid him up. He was on crutches. He was in a walking cast or a boot type of thing. And he was struggling to the point where he had to rely on Stephanie more and more to help him with his daily cares. Because if you've ever been on crutches, you know it's not easy just to grocery shop, right? So he starts relying on Stephanie more and more. She's much more involved in his life around this time, beginning in the summer of 2022. And this derails his plans to move to the Philippines. He had been hoping to get there by the end of the summer. He also starts treatment at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin on Gulf Road in the town of Delafield. Physical therapy. Talked about that on Friday. A lot of people have been there for physical therapy, right? Nothing unusual about that. But what is so significant about that is the date of August 23, 2022. That's a day you're going to hear a lot about. By the end of this trial, you'll be able to repeat it back to me, August 23 of 2022. because that's the day we believe he killed Stephanie Pavlons in the woods just outside of Orthopedic Associates and right up against the golf course at Western Lakes. On that day, we will be able to prove to you that Mr. Paul had an appointment at Orthopedic Associates. We will be able to prove to you that he and Stephanie left the apartment in Waukesha here, drove northbound on Delafield Street up to Grandview Boulevard, took a right, headed north up Grandview Boulevard, crossed Silvernail, where the old gas house used to be there, crossed I-94, crossed Gulf Road, and not crossed Gulf Road, got the Gulf Road, took a left. The new DMV station is up there right now. You may be familiar with that intersection. You will hear testimony that they stopped at the Quick Trip at that location, stayed there for about 20 minutes. Stephanie goes in, buys some breakfast food. Apparently they sit in the car, eat breakfast. Importantly, you will hear that they leave Quick Trip at about 9:11 a.m. and they arrive at the parking lot of Orthopedic Associates at 9:16 a.m. This will be proven by cell phone records. He arrives in the parking lot at 9:16 a.m., but he doesn't check in for his appointment until 9:34 a.m. So there's about a 16-minute gap there. He goes into his appointment. We will present records to you from the clinic. He's seen by a therapist at about 9:38 a.m. He goes back to meet with the therapist, and he's released at 10:33 a.m. The appointment is over. You will hear, based on cell phone records, that again, he goes out, well, strike that. Released at 10:33 a.m. You will hear from cell phone records that he does not leave the parking lot in the area of Orthopedic Associates until 10:53 a.m. During these two gaps, the 16-minute gap before the appointment and the 20-minute gap after the appointment, we have no idea where Mr. Paul is or what he's doing. There's no activity on his phone. He's not moving anywhere. There's nothing that we could find that tells us what he's up to during these gaps of time. Also, on August 23 of 2022, from the time Stephanie Pavlons leaves that Quick Trip, and you'll see her drive out of the parking lot on a video, no one ever hears from her again. She doesn't talk to anybody. She's not seen by anybody. There's no video of her anywhere. She gets missed calls on her phone. She's not replying to calls. She's not responding to calls. She's not picking up her prescriptions. She's missing doctor appointments. She's gone. On September 9th of 2022 is the day the body is discovered. I just told you that. It's about 17 days between August 23 and September 9th of 2022. Well, what's Mr. Paul doing during this time? Pretty much going on with his life. In fact, you may see some videos that you watch and you may conclude doesn't seem to have a care in the world. He continues chatting with the women in the Philippines. He continues making his plans to go to the Philippines, saying, I'll be there by the end of the fall. I just got to finish this treatment and I'll be there. But he's also saying some curious things to these women in the Philippines. And he also starts talking to his dad. Hadn't talked to him since June. Suddenly he's talking to his dad frequently. He's traveling up to Jackson off of Highway 60 to visit with his dad. His dad's coming down to his apartment. And he's telling his dad and he's telling his girlfriends something bad happened. But I can't send it in a text message. I can't talk about it in writing. We'll have to talk about it on the phone. He says he's worried about something. He even tells his dad he thinks he's in some kind of trouble. He also starts doing Google searches. He's searching for Stephanie Pavlon's name in the obituaries. He's searching he's searching Google, just doing Google searches on her name. At this point, nothing had been made public about her death. There was a brief news article the day the body was found. But prior to the body even being found, he's looking up the obituaries for Stephanie Pavlons. He's Google searching her name. And he's got an app on his phone that's a police scanner. And he's checking that frequently, checking out what are the cops up to? What are the cops investigating nowadays? What kind of scene are they getting called to? All of this evidence will be presented to you. The one thing he doesn't do, the one thing Matthew Paul does not do, ladies and gentlemen, that you will hear during this trial, is alert anybody to the fact that Stephanie is missing. He doesn't call her parents. He doesn't call the police. He doesn't ask the neighbors. He doesn't even call their own daughter. He doesn't lift one finger to alert anybody to the fact that Stephanie is gone. In fact, it's not until September 17th of 2022 that police go to his apartment with a search warrant to look for evidence. And that's the first chance they get to talk to Mr. Paul about this. And what does he do? He lies. He lies about when he had last seen Stephanie. He lies about her whereabouts. He lies about her belongings. He lies about his own whereabouts. He lies. What he does, again, is try and cover his tracks. He tries to deflect the police and starts talking about Stephanie and her history. You see, Stephanie did have a hard life. There's no getting around it. There were times she felt hopeless. There were times she felt sad, depressed, lonely. She kept a journal. You'll hear some of these journal entries where she describes the despair that she's feeling in her life. And it will also be very clear from her journal entries that the cause of her despair and her hopelessness was the abuse that had been inflicted upon her by the defendant, Matthew Paul. There was verbal abuse, emotional abuse, telling her she's stupid, she can't do anything right. There was physical abuse that she documented in her own journal. There was an occasion where she reported he hit her over the head with a bottle 5 or 6 times. There was an occasion where she reported he kicked her or punched her in the tailbone so bad she couldn't walk for days. There was an occasion where she reported he slapped her so hard in the face, around the side of the face, it broke an eardrum. She got medical treatment for that. She will describe Mr. Paul as Jekyll and Hyde, somebody that can snap on a dime. The defendant, Mr. Paul, tries to use this history for his own benefit. Again, cast the shadow a different way to the cops. I think she wandered off or maybe killed herself because, you know, she has this history. She's thought about suicide in the past. That's his answer to the officers on January 17th of 2022. Now, this investigation was lengthy. It took a year for the detectives to put this whole case together. And that's why it's going to take us 2 weeks to present it to you, right? The officers executed search warrants. They collected evidence. They interviewed witnesses. They subpoenaed or got warrants for all kinds of records, cell phone records, bank records, medical records, email records, messaging app records, video surveillance, anything they could to kind of document this. They did it. They seized computers and cell phones, and then they have computer forensic experts who extracted the data off the phone. You're going to hear a lot of testimony about that. They even enlisted the help of a human remains detection dog or a cadaver dog. This is a canine that's trained specifically to detect the odor of decomposing human remains, just like you might see a dog at an airport detecting bombs or drugs or something like that. This dog has a unique training, and she is trained to detect decomposing human remains. You will hear testimony that this dog searched Mr. Paul's vehicle and gave a positive alert. She hit on the car, indicating she could smell decomposing human remains in his truck. So this is all kind of an overview of the type of evidence we're going to present to you. There's one thing we won't be able to present to you, and that's the cause of death. And you may say, how in the world are you going to prove a murder case when you don't know how she died? Well, Judge Ramirez will instruct you on the law at the end of the trial. And he's going to tell you that, in fact, the burden of proof on the state of Wisconsin is not to prove how she died. You will not be asked that at the end of the case. You will be asked, did Matthew Paul intentionally kill Stephanie Pavlons? Is he guilty of that allegation by the state or not guilty? The fact is, Dr. Scheel, our medical examiner, will tell you that the body was decomposed so badly, she couldn't make a lot of her normal findings that she could otherwise. Most of the major organs were missing, soft tissues missing from crucial areas on the body. The rest of the body was dark and discolored, leathery type skin from being out in the elements for 17 days. And that's why you have count 2, which is hiding a corpse, right? Because we believe the evidence will show you that this was all at the hands of Matthew Paul. He purposely left her in the woods in a spot where she wouldn't be found for 17 days to his advantage. Now the medical examiner can't even tell us what caused her death. That's why there's a law that prohibits people from hiding a corpse. We believe there's going to be a lot of evidence of him covering his tracks. He tells one of the girlfriends in the Philippines he's going to be ready when the cops come. He deletes text messages. He does all kinds of things to cover up. So, again, I'm asking you to be patient and pay good attention, because every witness has something important to tell you, right? Not one witness is going to tell you the whole story, but everybody has one little thing. And we believe that at the end, when we have presented our entire case to you, you will be convinced that Matthew Paul is guilty of these charges we've levied against him. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence we will present to you is a timeline of his activities to the best of our ability to piece it together between August 23 and September 9 of 2022. And you're going to see from that timeline that we have painted him into such a very small corner. The only reasonable conclusion you can reach is that he's guilty of killing Stephanie Pavlons in an intentional act. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wolf?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, good.
Good morning. I wanted to thank you again. Again, Attorney Galaviz and I will be presenting the case for Mr. Paul. And I also wanted to thank you for spending the time here and making sure that Matthew gets a fair trial. One night last week, I was at home sitting at the kitchen table going over some evidence in this case. My wife arrived home, fed the dogs, changed into sweats, and popped some kind of pre-made dinner from Costco into the oven. She reminded me that our daughter's birthday was in a few days. And we were planning on taking her out to dinner. See, Melanie is a sophomore in the dorms at Marquette. Christine decided she would make a cake for Melanie. We did not have cake mix at the house, so she decided to make the cake from scratch. I offered to help, but Christine does not allow me to bake. She trusts me to cook dinners. In fact, I actually do most of the cooking for the family, but she does not trust me to bake. You see, cooking is an art, whereas baking is a science. I simply cannot, more like I do not want to follow specific recipes. So I stayed at the table and continued to go over police reports. Christine opened her laptop, Googled a recipe, chocolate cake from scratch, then went to our pantry to start looking for ingredients. All the basics: flour, sugar, cocoa powder, salt, a few items from the refrigerator, milk and eggs. Christine had most everything spread across the kitchen counter, then went back into the pantry. She was searching every shelf. I asked what she was looking for. Not that I would know where anything was. She finally said baking powder. The recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I pictured in my head how little 2 teaspoons is. How could that really make a difference? Neither of us wanted to leave the house and drive to the store. After a bit of discussion, I finally won the argument. Christine agreed to go ahead and follow the recipe for chocolate cake, less the baking powder. She pulled dinner from the oven, lowered the temperature, and put the cake in. We enjoyed our dinner. 30 minutes later, dinner was eaten, the table and counters were cleaned up, and the oven buzzer notified us the cake was done. Christine turned off the oven, opened the door, and pulled the cake pans from the oven, and then she called me over. We both stared at the cake pans on the counter. While I may have won the argument about skipping baking powder, I knew I lost. I would be driving to the store the next day and hitting the bakery for a cake. I sat back down on the table and started reading police reports. Then I realized that this cake and criminal trials in general are like a recipe. Again, this is a criminal case. Over my 10 years as a police officer, then 23 years as a lawyer, I've learned that criminal cases are more important than regulatory actions, commercial litigation, and every other type of case. Criminal cases involve the most serious kind of government action and core individual rights and liberties. There's just more at stake, ladies and gentlemen, in a criminal case. So this process is really important. In the spectrum of legal proceedings, a criminal case is up here and everything else is down here. The government, through the district attorney, must have all the ingredients. Without those necessary ingredients, the accused person must be found not guilty. You will find this case very interesting. This is my client, Matthew Paul. You've heard the elements for the 2 charged offenses. You heard him on Friday. You'll hear him again throughout the case. You've heard the government's belief about what may have happened in August and September of 2022. No witnesses will be able to testify with any certainty how Stephanie Pavlon's life came to an end. In a homicide case, the government always relies upon the testimony of one critical witness, that being the medical examiner. In this case, the Waukesha County medical examiner will testify that despite exhaustive testing and investigation, they can sum up the conclusion about the manner and cause of Stephanie's death in one word: undetermined. For you, the jury, a thorough analysis of the facts and circumstances in this case is critical. For you to find Matthew guilty, you must find that the elements of the offenses have been proven by the government, and proven by the government beyond a reasonable doubt. I cannot be sure how each witness will testify, nor do I know how the judge may rule on any objections. What do we know for sure? We know Matthew Paul and Stephanie Pavlons had been in some type of relationship for well over 23 years. They have an adult daughter together. We know Matthew and Stephanie were never married. They had an on-again, off-again relationship. Stephanie spent periods of time with Matthew, then spent extended periods of time with her at her parents' house in Delafield. We know throughout 2001 and 2002, Matthew had been communicating regularly with at least 2 girls in the Philippines. Stephanie was not only aware of this, but she also communicated with at least one of them. We know also that Matthew and Stephanie had medical issues and were taking prescription medication. We know Stephanie had a history of mental health issues. We know in the summer of 2022, May 23rd, Matthew broke his foot and needed to go through months of physical therapy. We also know Stephanie stayed at Matthew's apartment the night of August 22nd, 2022. And the next morning they left the apartment building and drove to Orthopedic Associates in the town of Delafield. They stopped a Quick Trip, as the state indicated. Matt attended his regular scheduled therapy appointment, then drove directly back to his apartment. Stephanie was no longer with him. We know that on September 9th, 2022, some workers were placing no trespassing signs along a small wooded area east of Orthopedic Associates and located Stephanie Pavlon's body. Finally, we know the Waukesha medical examiner cannot determine the cause or manner of death. You also heard from the state that Matthew did not report Stephanie missing to the police. but neither did anyone else. Not her daughter Layla, and not her parents. When you see certain evidence and hear certain testimony, you may not like Matthew Paul, but you don't have to like him. This isn't a popularity contest. This is a criminal trial. And what you as a jury have to do is examine the evidence, listen carefully to the testimony, and make sure the elements of the charged offense have been met. If not, then you must find Matthew not guilty. The investigation into Stephanie's death involved the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department, the Racine County Sheriff's Department, several area police departments, the Waukesha County Medical Examiner, and the State Crime Lab, among others. Well over 12 search warrants, at least 10 subpoenas, citizen interviews, countless hours scouring electronic media. Again, this was a very, very thorough investigation. There are a couple of questions I want you to ask yourself when the government presents its case. Ask, how did Stephanie get from the front seat of Matt's truck to the small wooded area where she was found? Keep in mind, her body was found in a wooded area that is bound by a heavily traveled frontage road and interstate, a very busy health center, a golf course, and homes. Ask, if Matt carried Stephanie into that wooded area, when would he have done that? Keep in mind, the government has hundreds of hours of camera footage and cell phone mapping. Keep in mind, Matt was still dealing with a broken foot. Finally, ask, what proof does the government have that Stephanie was even killed by another person? It could have been suicide. It could have been medical issues. It could have been anything. I do agree with some of the things the prosecutor said. However, there are issues in this case, and those issues will support reasonable doubt. In a criminal case, the government, having the burden of proof, presents evidence first. Only after the prosecutor has presented their case will Matthew have the opportunity to present his case. We ask that each of you wait until you've heard from all of the witnesses, ours as well as theirs, before deciding what really happened. Further, I believe the government will not be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Matthew Paul committed the offenses for which he is charged. We expect that after you deliberate and carefully weigh the evidence in this case, you will return the only possible verdict, and that's a verdict of not guilty. Listen for the facts that support what the government is alleging. Listen for what can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and listen for those ingredients that the government must have for their cake, and be aware of what is missing. Thank you.
Thank you. Caleb, if you could pull the podium back, please. And we'll pass out the notebooks, folks. And again, the bailiffs will give you instructions on what you do. Your notebook, that's yours. And then once everybody gets their notebook, you can bring your first witness and then have him or her ready to testify. Okay, everybody's got their notebooks? All right, sir, come on up to the witness stand to my right. Remain standing and raise your right hand once you get up here, please. You have to come right around here, sir. And then face our court.
Please swear the testimony you're about to give this matter before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes. All right, have a seat, sir. And can you tell us your name, please? Nicholas O'Connell. And
All right, real quick post check. I know we just started this one. I just picked it because it popped up. And I was being lazy and they want to search. But it looks like we actually have a recommendation to watch the Ogletree trial. Is that something y'all want to watch? Real quick, we never did. Okay, so I mean, that's 3 people right there that want to watch the James Ogletree. So do we need to start from day 1 on Ogletree? Okay. Do we need to start from day 1 or did y'all start it and then okay, yeah. All right. So I already got it pulled up.
Over the break, correct? All right, at this time, we are going to hear opening statements from counsel. Mr.
We might not be watching with Dally. Hold on, y'all. Ogletree. James Ogletree. Let's do day 1. Oh. Let me do trial. James Ogletree trial day 1. It looks like Dally might be the only one who has it, y'all. Dally might be the only one who got it. All right. Hopefully he don't talk too much through.
So, Ms. Dickerson.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you are here today because the defendant, James Ogletree, along with his co-defendant, Anthony Cummings, went into the cell of the victim, Marquise Weatherington, and viciously attacked him. For 13 minutes, they physically assaulted Mr. Weatherington, stole his belongings, and left him beaten and bloody on the cold concrete floor of his cell. As a direct result of this attack, caused by both the defendant and his partner, the victim succumbed to his injuries and was found dead in his cell the next morning. Those are the basic facts of this case. What I want to do now is go through and provide you more of the details about what occurred. On the evening of December 6, 2023, inmates on the second range of J Block were out for their rec time, where they could roam about the block, sit in the day room, take showers, make phone calls, etc. At 7:04 p.m., Marquise Weatherington can be seen in the doorway of his cell, 2J3, the third cell on the second range of J Block, a general population housing unit at Lebanon Correctional Institution. This is the last time that Marquise Weatherington will be seen alive on surveillance video. Anthony Cummings and the defendant, James Ogletree, can then be seen entering cell 2J3 and sliding the door shut. 10 minutes later, at 7:14 p.m., Anthony Cummings leaves cell 2J3 with a white mesh bag, consistent with what's known as a commissary bag. He can be seen taking it to a cell on the other side of the range and then re-entering 2J3 at 7:17 p.m. Seconds later, both Anthony Cummings and the defendant can be seen leaving 2J3, sliding the door shut behind them, and heading in opposite directions on the range. And at this point, blood can be seen on the white thermal pants of the defendant, James Ogletree. No one enters the cell for 40 minutes, at which point Marquise Weatherington's cellmate, Jason Addison, returns and enters the cell for approximately 1 minute. You will hear from Jason Addison that between when the defendant leaves the cell at 7:17 p.m. and when he enters the cell 40 minutes later, he's approached by Anthony Cummings, who advises him he needs to check on his cellie. You will hear that when Jason Addison enters cell 2J3 for the first time, the victim, Marquise Weatherington, is laid out on the floor, naked from the waist down and apparently unconscious. From that point forward, Jason Addison enters and exits the cell a number of times before entering with Mr. Cummings at 8:12 p.m. You're going to hear that during that approximate 3-minute window that Mr. Addison was in the cell with Mr. Cummings, they moved the victim up onto his rack, the top bunk. Over 12 hours later, at 7:42 a.m. on the morning of December 7th, Marquise Weatherington is found unresponsive by Corrections Officer Tyler Lay and Jimmy Potts, and is ultimately pronounced deceased at 8 a.m. by Corey Gerdeman with the Turtle Creek Township Fire Department. Trooper Christopher Creech with the Ohio State Highway Patrol is called in to investigate the circumstances surrounding the victim's death. Cell 2J3 is photographed and evidence is collected. This was Marquise Weatherington as he lay in the prison infirmary, where Trooper Creech photographed his body and collected his clothing. Security cameras are then reviewed, and the defendant, along with Mr. Cummings, are identified as suspects. Trooper Kyle Font searched the cell of both Mr. Cummings in 2J31 and Mr. Ogletree in 2J17 to find possible evidence. Located in Anthony Cummings' cell was a blue sweatshirt matching that which he was seen wearing in the surveillance video, with apparent bloodstains on it. And found in the defendant's cell, in a trash can, are the white thermal pants with apparent bloodstains. Those items are eventually sent to the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigations, where forensic scientist Catherine Daly confirms the presence of Marquise Weatherington's DNA on both the sweatshirt belonging to Mr. Cummings and the white thermal pants belonging to the defendant. Ultimately, Mr. Weatherington's body was transported to the Montgomery County Coroner's Office, where an autopsy was performed. The coroner, Dr. Susan Brown, determined that Marquise Weatherington died as a result of multiple blunt force injuries to the head, resulting in subdural and subarachnoid hemorrhage, which means bleeding in and around the brain, in addition to blunt force injuries to the neck, the chest, the abdomen, and other extremities. Additionally, she found evidence of strangulation through petechiae in and around the eyes, bruising to the neck, as well as bruising to the soft tissue and muscle within the neck. Through further review of the surveillance footage, other potential witnesses are identified and interviewed. You will hear from Shaquiz Akeem during this trial about what he saw occurring in the cell during the 13 minutes in question. You will hear that both the defendant and Anthony Cummings were active participants in a violent assault against Mr. Weatherington. The defendant participated in 2 interviews with the Ohio State Highway Patrol. The first on December 7th with Trooper Kyle Clont and Trooper Michael Schuler, and the second on December 8th with Trooper Christopher Creech and Sergeant Lonnie Butler. You will hear those 2 interviews that the defendant gives multiple versions of what occurred on the evening of December 6, 2023 inside cell 2J3. James Ogletree is charged with 3 offenses: felony murder, in which the state will need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant caused the death of another as a proximate result of committing a violent felony. In this case, that violent felony is felonious assault, for which the state will need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant knowingly caused serious physical harm to another.
Good question.
And you will hear that serious physical harm means, amongst other things, an injury that can result in death. Aggravated robbery, in which the state will need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, in committing a theft offense, inflicted serious physical harm on the victim. And in addition to being charged with felony murder, felonious assault, and aggravated robbery, you are going to be instructed at the conclusion of this trial on the theory of complicity.
I'm texting him
Which
right
the
now.
judge will instruct you means that if you find that the defendant aided or abetted his co-defendant, which means supported, assisted, encouraged, cooperated with, advised, or incited this offense, he can be found guilty just as if he were the principal offender. Ladies and gentlemen, at the conclusion of this case, the state is going to ask that you hold the defendant, James Ogletree, accountable for the brutal assault that resulted in the death of Marquise Weatherington and find him guilty on all counts.
Thank you, Ms. Nicholson. Mr. Brenner?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen, jury, hello again. This is one of these cases where I'd say the prosecution and myself agree on about 85% of what Ms. Nicholson just said. We are not going to contest, and we cannot contest, that Mr. Weatherington was found dead in his cell. The question is not whether he was found dead. The question is who caused those injuries that led to his death and why. The state is going to attempt to paint Mr. Cummings and Mr. Ogletree as affiliates in some kind of a scheme here. I put it to you to focus closely on the testimony and the evidence that you're going to hear and you're going to see. You're going to see surveillance video. You're going to hear statements. You're going to hear statements from Mr. Ogletree. We are going to demonstrate throughout this trial that prison, in particular, the Lebanon Correctional Institution, is a violent place with a certain set of rules. Some of those rules include prohibitions enforced pretty strictly amongst the inmates against what we call snitching. The state is going to attempt to use the fact that Mr. Ogletree's story changed as per se evidence that he's hiding something, that he's covering it up. When in fact, what is taking place is he is following the code of that institution, which we're going to hear from multiple witnesses here today. There is no scheme in common between Mr. Ogletree and Mr. Cummings in this case. And Mr. Ogletree's in the cell. We're not disputing that. It's on the video, right? You're going to see the video. You're going to hear testimony about what took place. And again, I want to stress to all of you to focus very closely on what is taking place and whether there's any indication that Mr. Cummings and Mr. Ogletree were working together in any kind of scheme that would rise to the level of complicity. What you're going to hear is that Mr. Weatherington and Mr. Cummings knew each other from back home. Nobody knows Mr. Ogletree.
Aww.
And so the state's theory of the case is not going to hold up to scrutiny. And I want, again, to stress to all of you to focus on exactly what you see on this video, exactly what the witnesses say. Because again, we're not going to sit here and argue, oh, that's not him on that video. We're not going to do that. What we are going to argue is he had nothing to do with Mr. Cummings's assault and robbery of Mr. Weatherington. He's in the cell. That's very different from being actively involved. You already saw, Ms. Nicholson showed you, that's Mr. Cummings leaving the cell with a bag, a commissary bag. The theory the state's going to present is that this was an aggravated robbery to get some kind of commissary materials. Mr. Ogletree is never seen with any of these materials. And we are going to show at the conclusion of all evidence, both by the state and by the defense, that there is insufficient evidence and that you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, must acquit Mr. Ogletree of all of these charges. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brenner. Call your first witness. Sid Paul Tyler Lay.
Yeah, come dog, not guilty, bros. I texted MLS to ask about that because the prosecutor kept saying he committed the murder, but he was acquitted. So yeah, okay, you could have. Oh, okay. School's not okay. First of all, I really like this guy's shirt. Well, first of all, I really like this guy's fro. Like that is pretty badass. I'm kind of jealous, quite frankly. Also, do the math. School's not prison. I like this guy. He is a good role model. Second of all, yes, I'll pause on Augie when we get a second. What was I going to say? So I suppose it's beneficial for the defense that the state accuses Cummings, because if they want to throw Cum Dog under the bus, then
Lebanon Correctional Institution.
That is a prison here in Warren County, Ohio. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been employed at Lebanon Correctional Institution?
This November will make 13 years.
What is your current position with Lebanon Correctional?
I'm a lieutenant.
And what do your duties consist of as a lieutenant?
Well, right now, I'm over the mail and visit.
the camera.
I'm sorry, you're over the what visit?
Mail and visit.
Okay.
So I deal with all the mail coming in, legal mail coming in, and also visitation and also food service.
Okay. And what was your position back on December 7th of 2023?
I was the bid officer in J Block.
And could you tell the jurors, what is a bid officer?
So a bid officer is a person that's a regular post. It's where they're going to go every day that they're scheduled to work, depending on what shift they're on and what part of the institution that they're working.
And so the prison has different blocks, is that right?
Correct.
Approximately how many blocks does the Lebanon Correctional have?
oh, thank you, sweetie.
13 with the segregation units.
So there are some general population units and then there are some segregation units.
Correct.
Okay. Let's talk about J block specifically. What type of block is that?
The general population block.
Anybody can be housed there.
Correct.
How many stories is J block?
3 tiers.
Okay. Sometimes is that called different ranges?
Yes. Range 1, range 2, range 3.
Okay. And you said there's 3 tiers. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Back in December of 2023, were all 3 tiers being used to house inmates?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay. Is it possible that just 1 and 2 were? Do you think 3 were?
Yes. I don't remember what year it was that we shut down range 3 to where it was just range 1 and 2 that we were housing inmates on.
Okay. But definitely, you know for sure that in December of 2023, range 1 and 2 were being housed.
100%.
Inmates. Okay. Talk to the jurors about kind of a typical day in prison for an inmate. Like what time do they get up? Are they allowed out for recreational activities? Are they fed? Kind of walk them through a typical day.
A typical day for an
Fed,
offender,
watered.
it's very structured. So at 6:30,
Sound like dogs,
6
why don't
o'clock,
you?
when we come in to report, we do our first count of everybody that's in that housing unit. At 6:30, count will clear. That's when the insulin diabetics and also food service workers will be released. We also do all the license plates and tags for the state of Ohio at Lebanon Correctional. So our OPI workers are normally released around 6:45, 6:50, depending on how the movement's going that morning. Right around 7 o'clock, day room opens up for the range during that time frame. So day rooms normally open from 7 until about 10, 7 till about 10. So the inmates are out that live on that range. They're out sitting in the day room. They're getting on the phones that are provided. There's also a GTL room to where they can go and plug their GTLs in, and they are able to FaceTime their families and stuff like that on their tablets. During each block has a certain time frame of when they go to recreation, and they will be called over the radio. The officers will release them to their rec times, depending on if it's morning, afternoon, and depending on if it's gym rec or if it's yard rec, because those time frames differ and who they go with during those times.
And then are there regularly scheduled meals throughout the day?
Yes. No housing unit goes beyond 14 hours in the afternoon. So when they go from dinner, they will have a meal that following morning, and they get 3 hot meals a day unless there's a specialty meal or something's going on with religious factors and stuff like that.
When a range is released for day room, is it 1 range at a time?
For day room, yes, sir.
Okay, so like if you're on the first range, first floor, when that floor is having day room, anybody on the first range can go. But is the people on the second range, are they supposed to stay in their cell?
Yes, they'll be secured in their cell.
Okay, and then kind of the verse of that. If you're once second range has day room, they're allowed to go down to where the tables are on that first floor and congregate in that area and use the phones and things like that.
Yes, sir.
Are inmates, when it's day room time, are they allowed to go into each other's cells?
No.
And why is that?
We don't, unless they're in our merit block, which is G George, we don't let house visiting because that's when bad things happen. If an inmate is going to go into another cell, there's normally one reason for it, and it's not normally a good reason. They're either trying to sell something or trying to bargain for something, exchange of drugs, fighting. A lot of those things happen inside the cells if that was to be allowed.
What kind of things happen if an inmate's found out of place?
They're found out of place. Depending on the severity of it, they can either be put back into their original cell or even into the whole segregation.
Is there a standing count conducted at some point during the day?
Yes, standing count 11 correctional is 4 p.m. to where every inmate has to be feet on ground standing up.
Okay. And so does that just happen one time during the day where everybody has to be stood up and accounted for?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's at 4 p.m.?
Yes, sir.
Are there other counts that are conducted throughout the day? I know you talked about there's a count that's done first thing in the morning. Are there other counts that are conducted?
There's numerous counts throughout the entire from 6 a.m. There's a count at 6 a.m. that clears at 11 or clears at 6:30. Then you have 11 o'clock count that clears at 11:30. Then you go to the 4 o'clock count, which is 4 o'clock, and it clears at 4:30. And then our next count's at 9:30. At nighttime, when it's night lockdown, they have a count then, and it's cleared at 10. We have a following count at 10:30. When third shift comes in, they have their 10:30 count that ends at 11, midnight, 2 and 4 a.m.
So let's talk about those counts because you said there's only one standing count. And that's the 4 o'clock where an inmate actually has to be stood up and you're making contact with that inmate. Is that right?
Correct.
These other counts that you're talking about that are occurring, what is the procedure? What do you have to see from an inmate? How does that work?
Some type of skin. It can't just be a pile of blankets on a bed that looks like a body. You have to see some type of visible skin as we're going out and counting as they're laying in their beds or they're laying on some of the offenders will even lay their mattresses on the floor, sleep on the floor. We have to be able to see some type of skin as we're doing rounds.
Okay. But you don't have to make verbal contact with them. Is that right?
No, sir.
They don't have to get up and move or shake or anything like that. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You just have to see some type of the different counts that occur. Are there also range checks that are conducted throughout the day?
Yes, sir.
For the evening hours?
All day, 24/7. There's a range check supposed to be done 30 minutes, but not consecutively. It's supposed to be staggered. So if somebody went to 27, they would never exceed 30 minutes, but it needs to be staggered.
And what's the purpose of a range check and how do those typically work?
The purpose of a range check is one, making sure things are going how they should be properly going in the housing units, making sure we're trying to prevent any fights that are happening in the cells. Inmates that want to indulge into intoxicating drugs while in the prison, we're making sure that if we come across that, we can handle that as is. And when getting medical involved or issues like that, those range checks are for the safety and security of the institution.
So every 30 minutes, and you said it's staggered, so they don't know when to expect it. But every 30 minutes, somebody's doing a walk around the range, just kind of looking out for things to make sure nothing seems out of place.
Correct.
Again, for these range checks, does there have to be 2 people in the cell each time a corrections officer walks by and does a range check?
No.
Because they can be a day room, I would assume, or rec or wherever. And if they're in their cell, does the officer have to make verbal contact with them? They just need to see, they're just looking to see if anything's out of place or anything's out of the ordinary.
Correct.
Okay. Let's talk, let me ask you, are range checks conducted through the night as well?
Yes.
And so even though everyone's, because I assume 9:30, 9 o'clock, everyone's locked in their cell, right? No one's free to be out roaming. There's still range checks where people are just walking around. And is that just basically kind of looking through the window of the door?
Correct.
Again, no verbal contact. They don't have to stand up. They don't have to move a body part or anything like that.
Correct.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about commissary. That's a term I think we're going to hear about. What does commissary mean in the prison setting?
It's a form of money. Commissary, people also buy it to eat off of, but they also use it to trade and use it as a form of money to other individuals that have things that they want.
So when we're talking about commissary, are these items that can be purchased in the prison?
Correct.
Explain how that works. Most people probably don't understand.
So inmates have their own pretty much little grocery store that they can go to once every 2 weeks, where they go and they'll buy chips, ramen noodles, pickles, food that they're able to make. Where if they didn't want to eat the meals that are provided to them, they can go back to their cell and make all their own food.
So they go to
There's a microwave in
Safeway.
every housing unit. But families are also able to order them food off of different vendors and send in. They get food boxes and stuff like that.
And that was going to be my next question. How's commissary obtained? Because it's who's putting money on people's books, or how does money get put on people's books so that they're able to purchase commissary? Because I assume it's not free just to go pick out.
No, so it's money that families and friends put on their accounts.
Okay. Is commissary a pretty valuable commodity in prison?
Very much.
And do inmates sometimes fight and steal each other's commissary?
Yes.
Does that happen frequently?
Yes.
And can commissary be used to trade for certain items in prison?
Yes.
What types of items can be traded if you have commissary?
I mean, depending on the amount and what other commissary it is, that people, they utilize it to go get drugs from other people. That's however they've gotten them in. They'll trade food for that. They'll trade food for pretty much anything you can.
Real quick, Scott sent me this in Discord, or posted it. So this really surprised me, actually. like fast food kind of. And it's kind of like just probably the cost of like Grubhub. You can get like a double.
Try to take detail tablets, TVs, radios, all the stuff that they're allotted to have. If they're not able to get one, they broke theirs and they're on restriction or whatever, they'll go and give commissary for those types of items that they're not supposed to have at the moment.
So is commissary essentially as if it were money?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You talked about one of the things that can be traded for is drugs. Some people might be surprised to hear that there are drugs in the prison.
Correct.
How is that a thing? How are drugs able to be had in the prison?
There's multiple avenues. No department's perfect. We've had dirty staff members bringing it in. We've had visitors bring it in. We also have contractors that are throughout the prison at all times, coming in, fixing certain areas of the prison or doing different programs, and all those different avenues give the ability of somebody to bring those in.
Another term that may get mentioned during the course of this trial is tune. Are you familiar with the terminology for tune?
Very.
What is it? If you explain to the jurors, what is tune?
I don't know the exact of the drug. I know what it does to the individual. I know it's sometimes just synthetic to my knowledge of what I've been explained to me. They normally vape it or inhale it, burn it off some type of paper or something like that, and it pretty much puts them out of their complete mind. They're and sometimes some people do projectile puking. They'll be like on the ground. Sometimes they even have to be Narcan. It's a very, very, very bad drug that's going through the prison system.
So let's go back to J Block in December of 2023. Were you familiar with an inmate, because you were the bid officer, so you were one of the officers that was in J Block every single day, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Were you familiar with an inmate by the name of Marquise Weatherington?
Yes, sir.
And how were you familiar with him?
Being a regular in a housing unit, you might not know everybody's name, you might not know everybody's face, but majority of those individuals, you know where they live, you know their ins and outs, and if they're acting a certain way, you pick up on that when you're working somewhere for so long.
Did Mr. Weatherington cause you any issues or problems?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. And he was housed in cell 2J3 in December of 2023?
Yes, sir.
If you could explain to the jurors what those numbers and letters mean when I say 2J3.
So the first number would be the range that they are on, and then you have the J, which would be J Block, which is the housing unit itself, and then the second letter would be the cell that they're in.
Okay. As far as you knew, was Mr. Weatherington having any issues with any other inmates in J Block?
Not to my knowledge, sir.
How were you familiar with him?
Being in there, Mr. Addison had been in our institution for a decent amount of time.
And he was in J Block? Yes. Excelled with Mr. Weatherington? Were you familiar with an inmate by the name of Anthony Cummings?
Yes, sir.
How were you familiar with him?
Being in J Block, sir.
Okay, he was another inmate at that time, was housed in J Block?
Yes, sir.
And finally, were you familiar with an inmate by the name of James Ogletree?
Yes, sir.
Do you see that individual in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
Could you point him out, describe what he's wearing?
He's wearing a blue button-up shirt.
Identifying the defendant.
We'll see you later.
Thank you. Thank you. And how are you familiar with Mr. Ogletree?
Being that he was housed in Lebanon Correctional in J Block.
Okay, so in December of 2023, all of these individuals we just talked about, Mr. Weatherington, Jason Addison, Mr. Cummings, Mr. Ogletree, are all housed there in J Block at Lebanon Correction.
Correct.
All right. Let's talk about the morning of December 7th of 2023. Does it start off as a typical morning?
Yeah, starts off typical.
Around what time do you start your shift that day?
I normally clocked in at about 5:30, 5:45, somewhere around there, and I made it down to the block shortly after clocking in, after roll call was done, and we performed the count at 6 o'clock.
Was anything out of ordinary at the time that you conducted a count?
No, sir.
Okay. And then would there also have been a range check done at some point that morning?
Yes.
Anything out of ordinary you saw at the time that the range check was conducted?
No, sir.
A little bit later, around 7 in the morning, inmates start being released for breakfast and other activities.
Correct.
And at approximately 7:41 in the morning on December the 7th, 2023, are you alerted to an issue at Mr. Weatherington's cell in 2J3?
Yes, sir.
And how were you alerted?
An inmate had walked down range and said there was something wrong with the set offender.
So were you on the first range or second range?
First range.
So you're on the first range, and this offender that notifies you, was he on the first range or second range?
Second range.
And what does he yell down to you?
He said that I believe there's something wrong with
Mr. Weatherington?
Yeah.
When you get that information, what do you do?
Immediately report to that cell.
What's it like when you get to the cell?
There was a smell, very distinct smell. And as I went in there, I said the name of my partner, which had already been en route to where I was at. And when we got to the side of the bed, you could feel that he was cold, so we tried to roll him over to his side, and that's when medical emergency was called. And we tried to get him onto his back to be able to perform chest compressions.
So let me back up for a second. Let me ask you this. When you first responded to Mr. Weatherington's cell at 2J3, was his cellmate, Jason Addison, inside of the cell?
No.
Was there anybody inside the cell other than Mr. Weatherington?
No, sir.
Okay. So you respond, you go inside the cell, you see him, Mr. Weatherington is on the bottom bunk or the top bunk?
Top bunk.
Okay. You said you kind of tap at the, you tap his foot or tap at the end of the bed?
Tapped it into the bed to kind of like shake it, to kind of like he was asleep to wake him up or something to that nature.
Any response?
Yes, sir.
You indicated
Defecation, almost.
And you said you called for the other CO at the time. What was that?
Officer Potts.
Okay. And he responds as well?
Correct.
You two then are able to kind of flip Mr. Weatherington over?
To his side, yes.
Describe to the jurors what you saw when you kind of were able to flip him a little bit to his side.
You could notice there was a ton of blood all over the bed, and that he had some type of abrasion somewhere on his head. and that everything was stiff. His arms were stiff, his fingers were stiff. Nothing was able to move. That's what made it so difficult to roll him to his back.
Was he responsive at all?
No.
You indicated that you called a medical emergency.
Correct.
Could you explain to the jurors what does that mean in a prison setting when you call a medical emergency?
So in a prison setting, like we said, we've had what they call tune and everything like that with the medical emergencies. Medical emergency is when we need medical staff down there, and the inmates either having a medical crisis or we have a situation like we have in Mr. Weatherby where he had sustained some injuries and he was not responsive. So they respond. We call that nursing staff and medical staff respond to the area that we're at.
Do they typically respond pretty quickly?
Yes, sir.
And what happened in this case when they responded? Where did you do and where did you go?
As medical came in, there was a supervisor at the time on the range told me to go. At this time, we had other offenders coming back into the block. They had me go and lock down the rest of the housing unit. My medical staff attended to the offender.
What's the reason that you're locking down the rest of the housing unit?
To keep other individuals away from this situation that's at hand so they don't get in the way or something else that doesn't transpire. Being that we are in a housing unit of multiple offenders that are in there for multiple different crimes. And we wanted to make sure everybody was separate in their cells so something else didn't transpire.
And so when the nurses respond and they start attempting to work on Mr. Weatherington, you're not in the cell at that point. You're trying to get everybody locked down.
Correct.
Okay. At some point, are you aware, do the EMTs arrive?
Correct.
And are you aware, while the EMTs are at the scene, that they pronounced Mr. Weatherington deceased?
Yes, sir.
Was Mr. Weatherington removed to the infirmary?
Yes.
If you could explain to the jurors, what is an infirmary?
Our infirmary is pretty much our medical area to where like inmates that are insulin dependent or they sustain an injury. We have a doctor down there during the day. We have all nursing staff, LPNs, and RNs that are down there that tend to any type of sick call, any type of wound care, any of that. That's our medical area to where they go to have exam rooms and stuff like that.
Sir, are you aware if after Mr. Weatherington's body was discovered, do prison investigators immediately begin reviewing surveillance footage to try to find the last time that Mr. Weatherington was seen alive?
Correct.
And are you involved in that process at all, sir?
Not really.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I think we did that last time.
That's true.
Something you said sets off. Is it Alexa? Who's it? Sorry,
Siri.
Sorry.
That was the same witness, same like question set off the judge's phone last time as well. God.
Let me see. You're also not involved in interviewing any suspects or collecting evidence or anything like that. Is that right? That's all the job of the Ohio State Highway Patrol that gets called in?
Correct.
Okay. I will show you a couple of exhibits, state's exhibits 1 through 4.
Weatherington, once we were able to get into his back.
Hold on one second. Don't have to describe them all. Just those all photographs of the scene on December 7th as you were there and witnessed it.
Yes, sir.
So they all fairly and accurately depict the scene as you saw on December 7th.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Publish Record.
No objection here. Proceed.
Put state's exhibit number 1 on the screen. We're looking at state's exhibit number 1, please.
Mr. Weatherington, when he was finally rolled to his back.
Okay. So that's shortly after you're there in the cell. When you're able to get him to the side, that was the addition that you found in it?
Yes.
When you saw him, did you see any signs of life from Mr. Weatherington?
No, sir.
I want to direct your attention to state's exhibit number 2. What are we looking at in state's exhibit number 2, please?
One of our nursing staff performed life-saving techniques on offender Weatherington.
That's after he's been taken down from the top bunk in his cell, and now he's been taken and placed just out into the hallway of the second wing.
Yes, sir.
And is it accurate? Do medical staff, when they're called, the nurses of the prison, have to perform life-saving measures, even if they suspect somebody is no longer alive until the EMTs or someone pronounces the official deceased?
Yes, sir.
Putting state's exhibit number 3 on the screen. What are we looking at in this photograph, please?
Where he had been on the ground and they had moved him from the inside the cell to outside the cell to have more room.
And you can see that blood streak there. Do you believe, was that caused when he was initially placed down on the ground inside the cell, and then when he was kind of moved to the outside of the cell? Is that what you believe the blood streaks would be from?
Yes.
Oh, good. They gave him
oxygen. State's exhibit number 4 on the screen.
Whoa.
I'm looking at this photograph.
Torment Giants.
Picture going inside the cell and what we would have saw doing a range check if it wasn't covered up with a blanket.
Okay. So this is cell 2J3.
Yes, sir.
And this is obviously after Mr. Weatherington's been removed. You indicated you saw a lot of blood. He was up on that top bunk.
Correct.
Does that see all the pops in the photograph?
Yes, sir.
I think the
Again, you're not responsible for collecting and this or anything like that.
CEO probably asked to take a different picture after
I
that.
don't have any further questions, Roger.
Ross.
Thank you. All right. Let's see what Wolfman does with this.
You indicated you worked at Lebanon TI for 13 years, you said?
This November, yes, sir.
Okay. And it sounds like you've had multiple roles during that time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long were you working as a bid officer?
In J Block, I was in there approximately 2 years.
Okay, so a good amount of time, fair to say.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Erica.
During your time in Lebanon Correctional, have you witnessed or been involved with investigating offenses of violence?
investigating. Could you clarify that better for me, please?
I understand, right? It's not your job to actually complete the investigation, right? But as the bid officer, you are kind of the first person on the scene oftentimes. Is that fair to say?
Responding to an emergency, is that
An
correct?
emergency, an issue that an inmate's having, right? For instance, you said the morning of December 7th, right? Somebody yells down and you run up and respond, right?
Yes, sir.
So is that kind of your typical role as the bid officer in that situation?
Being a officer in a housing unit, anything that goes on, you're going to be the initial fight happens, or an inmate's having a medical issue or something like that. You're going to be the first one to make the initial, hey, we need additional staff down here. We need medical staff. You'll be the person that responds to that area.
If you had to estimate, I know you don't have an exact count in front of you. How many times did you have to respond to some kind of defensive violence, be that a fight, a homicide, serious injuries, minor injuries, what have you?
I wouldn't have those types of numbers, sir. We don't really keep track. It changes so differently with the seasons and what's going on inside the institution during that time frame. I would never have any type. That's something that's tracked way above me.
Okay. If you had to estimate, how long are your shifts typically?
During COVID years, it was 16-hour days most of the time because we were getting froze because of everything going on. As an officer, during that time, that was 2023, near the tail end of all that. I mean, you're scheduled for 8, but it can't be up to 16.
Okay. Would you say that you responded to an offensive violence every shift?
I wouldn't say every shift, sir. I'd say
Ms. Nicholson?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you are here today because the defendant, James Ogletree, along with his co-defendant, Anthony Cummings,
Mr. Brown?
Just actually, no.
Can you step down, please? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. I will say 15 minutes. It's 2:30. So remember my prior instructions to not discuss. We'll discuss the case with each other. Allow anyone to discuss it with you in your presence.
Is what I'm asking is the door to the cell, when the door is shut, is it flush against the
David, thank you, I think. Sorry, Salvador's the Wish version of a trial streamer. Yes. The humiliation continues. Thank you, David.
I'd say be close to that distance.
Okay. How long were you working as a bid officer?
In J Block, I was in there approximately 2 years.
Okay, so a good amount of time, fair to say.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Erica.
During your time in London Correctional, have you witnessed or been involved with investigating offenses of violence?
Investigating? Could you clarify that better for me, please?
I understand, right? It's not your job to actually complete the investigation, right? But as the bid officer, you are kind of the first person on the scene oftentimes. Is that fair to say?
Responding to an emergency? Is that
An emergency, an issue that an inmate's having, right? For instance, you said the morning of December 7th, right? Somebody yells down and you run up and respond, right?
Yes, sir.
So is that kind of your typical role as the bid officer in that situation?
Being a officer in a housing unit, anything that goes on, you're going to be the initial fight happens, or an inmate's having a medical issue or something like that. You're going to be the first one to make that initial, hey, we need additional staff down here, we need medical staff. You'll be the person that responds to that area.
If you had to estimate, I know you don't have an exact count in front of you. How many times did you have to respond to some kind of offensive violence, be that a fight, a homicide, serious injuries, minor injuries, what have you?
I wouldn't have those types of numbers, sir. We don't really keep track. It changes so differently with the seasons and what's going on inside the institution during that time frame. I would never have any type. That's something that's tracked way above me.
Okay. You had to estimate, how long are your shifts typically?
During COVID years, it was 16-hour days most of the time because we were getting froze because of everything going on as an officer. During that time, that was 2023, near the tail end of all that. I mean, you're scheduled for 8, but it can't be up to 16.
Okay. Would you say that you responded to an offensive violence every shift?
I wouldn't say every shift, sir. I'd say majority of the time.
So it's fair to say there's a good amount of violence, fights happening at Lebanon CI.
I would say in prisons in general, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hi, beautiful
Did you work
people.
in any other
Thank you,
facility?
Erica.
No, sir.
Thank
Okay.
you.
In your experience, majority of shifts, there's some kind of an issue with violence between inmates.
I wouldn't always say violence, sir. It could be just a regular dispute.
I got you. Like an argument or what have you.
Yeah.
An issue between cellmates or something like that.
Yes, sir.
I got you. But fair to say, in your duties as a bid officer, you were regularly responding to the aftermath of some kind of a dispute or a fight, or even more significant than a fight.
Majority of the time.
Okay. Had you responded to a suspected homicide before December 7th, 2023?
I did not respond, but I was there the day something like that had happened. Yes, sir.
So it has happened before.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in your duties as a bid officer, basically you're just kind of keeping an eye on the range. As you said, an issue happens, you're then calling for backup or calling for medical or calling for someone else to help out.
Yes, sir. You're maintaining the safety and security of that housing unit, meaning you were working that post for that ship.
Okay. So on that morning of December the 7th, do you know who called down and said, hey, we have a problem, we need to come check this out?
I don't know off the top of my head, sir. It's been too long to remember what that individual's name was.
Understood. So in a couple of states exhibits, we kind of could see inside of the cell, right? What are the dimensions to a cell of a correctional institution?
I'm not for sure, sir. I don't know off the top of my head.
And looks like we're looking at those exhibits, right? We've got beds, kind of, what else is in that cell?
It all depends on the cell, sir.
Okay.
Some have shelving units, some don't have shelving units. I think at that time we still had the locker boxes, so some have locker boxes, some don't have locker boxes. It all varies depending on what housing unit you're in and the cell.
Okay. So when you say locker boxes, is that like for the inmates' personal possessions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And shelves, is that something the inmates put themselves, or is just some cells have shelves in them, some don't?
Yes, sir.
Is it something that the inmates choose, or is it just kind of like
Just some of the cells do, sir.
understood? Okay. That particular cell, did that have shelves in it, to your recollection?
I can't remember if it did or not, sir, off the top of my head.
How much, obviously you don't have a tape measure, right? But how much room is in between the bed and the opposite wall? So if it looked like the beds were pushed up against the wall, I mean, how much room is there if you're standing next to the bed? And is it as wide as the podium where you're sitting, would you estimate?
Hell, there's the defendant. David, thank you, I think. Sorry, Salvador's the Wish version of a trial streamer. Yes. The humiliation continues. Thank you, David.
I'd say it'd be close to that distance.
Okay. So you had mentioned that whether when you responded and medical responded to Weatherington with some of the attempted life-saving measures, that you actually pulled him out of the cell for more room. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so it's fair to say if you get a couple people in a cell, it's a pretty tight fit.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you had mentioned the rounds. And so it sounds like those kind of take place every couple hours overnight to make sure everybody's where they're supposed to be.
Every 30 minutes, not consecutively stacked.
Okay. Kind of throughout the night, you're kind of continuous process of checking all these cells. Okay. And you had said they need to see some form of skin, not just like a pile of blankets.
Correct, sir.
Okay. Yep. Like a flashlight, you're kind of shining in there, you're just kind of looking in.
Yes. Yes. Either you could use a flashlight, the light on your phone, some type of light, and then some also housing units don't even have to have a light because of the outside lights that shine in through the window. You're able to see inside the cell. Be able to see. Some inmates even sleep with their lights on.
So I know it's been a while, but J Block back in December of 2023, do you have any remembrance of whether that was one where you needed a flashlight or didn't need a flashlight?
Not off the top of my head, sir.
Okay. And so you clocked into work, you said you arrived at 5:40, 5:45 a.m.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Had you worked the day before too? Do you remember?
Do we know what the day is? December.
It would have been December. I don't write off. I apologize.
So that's what makes it difficult for me to answer, sir, because I can't tell you what day that would be.
Understood. What are your typical days?
My days off when I was an officer was Friday, Saturdays off, and I took some Sundays off too. But my regular days were Fridays and Saturdays off.
Okay. So it's fair to say that since you arrived that morning, you weren't the individual that was performing checks the night before.
No, sir.
Okay. Did you mention something about a towel or blanket in front of the window?
No.
Okay. So the cells themselves, like the door, is that like sealed shut, or what's the format of that, of the door to the cells themselves?
As in, like, do they secure? Is that what you're asking?
Well, so we know they shut, right? And it looks, my understanding is that they kind of slide sideways, like a sliding door almost.
Yeah, they're on a track. It has like a locking mechanism up in top to where once they are secured, they're locked.
Okay. Is there a gap in between like the wall and where the door itself actually is? Is what I'm asking is the door to the cell, when the door is shut, is it flush against the wall, or is there a gap that you can see to someone through?
There's like you have like a sliding door, and then you have a frame.
Yeah.
Like on the back side, you're talking like on the back side of the door.
Yes.
So you're talking about where it meets to the locking mechanism.
Either or both.
On the back side, there might be it all depends on like the like if it's a segregation unit or a general population, what general population. Some of them the gaps differ because we are in like an older prison, so as stuff deteriorates and expands, the gaps might be a little bit smaller. If that's what you're asking.
But there is at least a your remembrance. There's a small gap.
Yeah, I think so on the back side.
Okay. So it's, if you're standing out on the range,
I need the number one crown. Thank you.
Like even if you have to yell, are you able to hear if someone's inside of the cell? Are you able to talk with them?
If the day
you,
room is out
Erica.
and there's movement going on, not normally, sir.
Fair to say, I mean, if there's a lot of people milling around, it's going to be pretty noisy, right? I mean, people are doing everything, listening to music, watching TV, hanging out, right, talking, whatever.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But there is a gap.
Yes, sir.
And you had indicated that you were at least somewhat familiar with all of Weatherington, Cummings, Addison, and Oaktree.
Yes, sir.
Right. How long had they been, if you can remember, had they been there for any extended period of time? Was it just like, hey, he was new? Or
To be honest with you, sir, people come in and out. Some stay for a while, some are there for a short period of time because they either get their level dropped or they go to a new prison because they've done something to get their level raised. So to say when some said person came in, I think at that time Lebanon Correctional was holding 1,800 inmates. So to say when they came in, when they were leaving would be very difficult to keep track of.
understood. How many, if you had to estimate, how many were on jail?
At that time, I can't, like I said, like when we were being asked earlier, if we had third tier, I can't remember when we shut down our third tier. But if we had just the two ranges, the maximum we would be able to have would be 100 inmates on range 2 and 92 on range 1. So a total of 192 maximum because cell 1 and cell 48, one was used for like the officers put their lunches in there and stuff like that. And then cell 1 was I believe at that time we still had the JPay, so they go use the JPay machine and they'd be able to read their emails and read their send out kites or informals. So only 92 on range 1 and 100 on range 2.
You said kites or informals? What is that?
Kites and informals are a way for an offender to communicate with individuals that are not in their housing units. So like if they need to kite the major or kite the inspector or the investigator, they're able to communicate with them without that person actually being in the housing unit.
Okay. And we saw some of this during opening, but there are surveillance cameras on J Block, right?
Yes, sir.
And are there surveillance cameras in every housing unit in Lebanon CI, your understanding?
Yes, sir.
Where are those cameras located?
On the ranges throughout the entire block. I mean, they're on the bottom part of, if you're on range 2, there's some that are on the bottom part of the range of range 3 that comes down. It's facing downward the range. There's some on the back wall that's facing down range. I mean, there's some that's on the facing part of a range. They're all throughout the entire housing unit.
Okay. So they all kind of face down.
Like down or back. So they face both directions.
People arguing about who gets a crown in Salvador's chat is like two pigeons arguing over who gets to shit on the park bench. Thank you, David, I think.
Oops.
Okay. Are there any specific cameras in any of the kind of specialized rooms that you mentioned?
At that time, I don't know if there was any in there. I know as we speak today, we do have them in the stairwells and in the GTL rooms, but I don't believe there is any in the phone rooms.
In the GTL rooms, what's that?
GTL is what, like I said before, it was what the JPay rooms was. GTL now that is the new tablets that all the offenders have, that they're able to have FaceTime visits with their families. They're able to like message their families, and they have to have like I think it's like a magnet or something. There's something inside the tablet that once you put it on like the little shelving unit, it butts up and they're able to have connection to be able to FaceTime their families that have the app that they download.
So they're supposed to use those in that designated room?
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead just one moment, Brian.
Jeez, Erica, thank you. Me, David, I get a shit on the bench. I called it.
Sure, it's fun.
I love you guys.
Yeah, I'll refresh it once more to see if it'll fix it. 5528.
Yeah, Ms. Dickinson.
Thank you.
But if it doesn't, we'll probably just have to end because I'm not sure what else to do. Right. And then what it was, 5528. Somewhere around here.
Wait, how many?
there's so many I mean, you everybody that watches TV, that watches this, they think just the generalized Bloods, Crips, Aryan Brotherhood and stuff like that. But there's so many different sets to set a number. That would be a question you would need to ask like a specialized like coordinator of the SCG coordinators and stuff like that, because the Crips could be, you have multiple different sets of Crips, multiple different sets of Bloods, multiple white supremacist groups, multiple just other gangs that aren't even based on race. They're based on what city they're from or what.
That's nice.
Are most, in your experience, are most of the inmates in NCI in some kind of a gang?
I wouldn't say most.
Okay, but there's fair to say there's so many gangs you don't even know them all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, I know about them all. I've been in jail.
Can these gangs, can that be a source of violence in your experience?
Yeah, I mean, in anything, you got two different groups that.
All right, so I know you guys are saying that I am. Let me see if I can. I know y'all saying I'm choppy. I'm not sure if it's me or if it's StreamYard or what's kind of going on with it. Because it's not on my end. It's very, very clear. So it got to be StreamYard, actually. Not sure why. It's kind of acting like that, but it seems to. I don't know if you guys can hear me now or not, but I will just go ahead and end the live then, since you guys can't really watch it. And there's nothing I can do to really fix it. So I'll end the live, but I will see y'all over in the Discord. We can definitely, if somebody wants to stream it in Discord, we can go over there and do it. I don't even know if I can. I don't know if I can even log into Discord here and try and do it. And do it from Discord. I'm low key trying to eat. I can see if I can stream it from Discord. All right, that ain't it. I'm gonna see if I can stream it from Discord. Hold on, I just gotta log in. Cause it might be, like y'all said, it might just be StreamYard. Log in. All right, let me see. When we go into here, there's a stream room. Okay, so I'm gonna, if you are a part of the Discord, just come over to the Discord and I will stream in there. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us today. Hope you have a good evening.